Hello, everyone, and welcome to No Excuses for a very special E3 Blitherfest, I guess, with your favourite show hosts, Venurian.
And Volacel, and we have no Aristeele today because he is suddenly buried in work due to the irresponsibility of his superiors.
Oh
A
yeah,
familiar story to many of us, I am sure.
yeah.
But
You'll probably get the full blasting of what happened there next week.
yeah.
Oh
And then
boy.
the week after that, my work's being audited.
Oh joy.
Yeah, laboratory audits are not fun.
So
They are, if possible, they are worse than regular audits.
so those sick days you have saved up.
That I already tried to take leave, and the boss said no, we need you here.
Oh. All
For some
right.
reason, though, they put me on a duty that I'm only in training for during the audit week. I guess because they want that excuse handy.
I guess.
Anytime I make a mistake, there's like, oh, well, he's a trainee. He'll learn. So, anyway, if you'd like to get involved with the show, you can do so by sending us email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com. Or you can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw, or you can join us in Discord. You can most easily access our Discord server by going to vtwproductions.com and clicking on the show logo on any of our recent show posts, which will take you directly to our Discord server where you can chat with the hosts and other listeners to the show in real time.
Yes, indeedy. So we're starting the show a little bit early this week because E3 happened. Sort of. It was a very
The most
underwhelming.
underwhelming E3 of all time. This is like the opposite of the Olympics, where at the end of every Olympics that isn't held in Atlanta, Georgia, they say that it's the best Olympics ever.
Yeah, as long as it's
Except,
outside the Americas or North America,
except,
even.
well, in the case of Atlanta, I think that there was like a bombing or something. So,
Yeah, they kind of have a valid excuse.
so in the case of E3, it's like every E3 is the most dull and uninspiring E3 since the last E3.
We're
So
watching really just the collapse of E3. I think we've seen it kind of winding up over the last few years, where or companies are just moving
E3 is
away.
an edifice of traditional media.
New.
It is
Yes,
it
sorry.
is an edifice of traditional media. That's
Yes.
all that it is. If you do not use traditional media as your primary venue for the dissemination of information, E3 has no purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And we are seeing the sort of the purposeless flapping in the wind of E3 now.
Yep.
Like we see companies like EA pulling out because what goes onto the internet is Microsoft's streams of it's like Microsoft's content as presented by Microsoft to the user. And when you go on YouTube and you try and look up your streams for E3, you most of the time you'll watch like the GameSpot one or the IGN one or whatever's the first one that pops up on the search.
Yep.
Nobody ever watches that part of the content where those people comment on it.
No, you
Ever.
always skip that. Partly because they have nothing of valid interest to say, and partly because they're incredibly irritating to watch.
I think that the first one is the most important because when you are presented with the exact same content to scrutinize that they are, it becomes unavoidably apparent that you don't need somebody to tell you what your opinion on that content was.
That's right.
They got away with it before because you never saw the original stuff. You didn't have that opinion forming phase.
Mm-hmm.
You have all of your emotional and intellectual responses to the presentation first before they have their chance to stick their oar in. And then you
Yes.
realize that you don't need their oar at all. So
Oh dear. So yeah, it it might only be a few years before we see E3 go completely or change forms into something entirely new. I
I
don't.
think that they're gonna try and hang on,
Yeah.
but I think it's liable to contract in some way, and they'll have to reimagine themselves as something else.
Yeah.
Like there's it would take some eating of humble pie.
It would.
I think ultimately it would take some eating of humble pie because E3 is one of those few things that really makes the journalists gives the journalists justification for their existence.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you compare the sort of slacking that some of the major outlets do compared to the really hardcore industrious journalism that say Niche Gamers crew did during E3,
Mm-hmm.
like you can tell that one lot are resting on their laurels and they don't really know what they're doing because they're used to being able to ride the wave of them being special. Niche Gamers crew, Tech Raptors crew, those guys, they're used to not being important.
Yes.
And so they try and provide quality content to fill that gap. So throughout E3, I'm getting constant tweets all across my social media feed from Papa Orselli talking about how he's got the next awesome interview lined up with this developer who, you haven't gotten news from anybody else on that because the journalists aren't doing journalism. So
No, they're there for the
Whereas-
basically for the drinks and mixer afterwards.
because, Orselli's got, lined up, oh, well, I'm talking with this developer and this developer from Japan who hasn't talked to anybody in the West because he doesn't believe they're going to cover him properly, and so on
He's
and
not
so
wrong.
forth. So there's still value to the E3 event in that you can do journalism there.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that by and large, people don't do journalism, and the sort of material that you get out of those who do is very niche. It's for the absolute enthusiast. E3 is watched by everybody I know who plays games,
Mhm.
pretty much.
At least in some
Like-
capacity.
Yeah, like my immediate senior at work, I was able to just raise the topic of E3 with him and chat with him about it because even though he's he doesn't play many different games, like he said, oh well, I was only looking to see if they were going to do a remake of Resident Evil 3 and to see how far along the Final Fantasy remake has gone.
Mhm.
That's all that he was watching it for. But the thing is that he did watch for that.
Yeah.
He did. He knew that, oh well, I can just watch the presses and get my information. He didn't go to a video games news website to get it.
Nope.
The sort of in-depth interviews that those few sites who still do journalism produce, those are for a very limited audience. And it's still valuable information, but it's for a limited audience. And perhaps you don't actually need E3 for that.
No.
If it's gone, maybe you'll see more developers try and, I suppose what you might see is developers will again have to re-engage the journalistic edifice in the conventional way, which forces them to do work by making themselves available but not lifting a finger. Like,
yeah.
E3 was basically an excuse for journalists to go along, have a party, and then not do any work.
Yes.
Because all of they've done nothing but republishing press release rehashes for the past 5 to 10 years.
They don't even really edit them anymore.
So they might as well have a party while they're at it. Whereas
Yeah.
in the case of carving out a niche where you're providing information that people don't already have in abundance through streams, like you don't need E3 for that, and it might be better if it's not there, because that way you'll see who is willing to go out of their way and search for information, to make connections, to get the inside scoop. And there's like, in the entire classic video games journalism edifice, there's like one person who does that, and it's Jason Schreier. Like,
Sometimes.
the only reason that he can do that is because he's had a decade of schmoozing to build up all the contacts.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably compromised his integrity a number of times in order to get the confidence from his contacts that he needs in order to do that work. But he's the only one.
Yeah.
And he's not an output by himself. The newer edifices like Niche Gamer, who have tiny teams that do extensive investigative and interviewing work with anybody that they can lay hands on, like those people will be able to carve out a better name for themselves if E3 is gone, because they are willing to put in the hard yards. They're not just riding the wave.
Yeah.
But
E3 for them, I suppose, provides convenience of having all these big developers in one place. But
yeah, well, it seemed to me, based on what Orselli was saying, that it was more sort of, oh well, this is basically to them a big meeting room.
Yeah.
They know that these people are going to be in this place at this time, so it's easy for them to get a face-to-face.
Exactly.
That's pretty much the purpose that it served. You don't need the pageantry for that, though.
No, you don't. And really, at any time there's a big announcement, they could flick an email over to, say, for example, Square Enix, saying they want to talk about the Final Fantasy VII remake, or run into them at any number of other cons or exhibitions around the place.
Yeah, and I think that that's the direction that E3 should really go if they want to hang on by the skin of their fingernails. They need to really give journalism the boot, generally speaking, because they serve very little purpose, and just be a move in the direction of something like PAX, where it is essentially it's for the customers.
Yep.
And you can, if you want to, get a press pass and then get on the waiting list to talk to people in person.
Yeah.
Like, I think moving in that direction is more useful because the exclusivity doesn't really serve a purpose anymore.
Nah.
So you might as well just let in whoever you want to let in. Because, I mean, pretty much it's just an event for the pseudo journalists and the YouTube and Twitch influencers, I guess, are the only ones who go, generally speaking. Which honestly gives lie to these the crowds that they show off, because those crowds are they're clearly not there to do investigative journalism, because they're screaming and making an obnoxious scene instead of taking notes.
We'll come back to the crowds later on, but there was one panel in particular where it was very obvious that someone was on the payroll. Bethesda.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So circling back round, this E3 was a bust, pretty much. Like, it was not. It was marginally more of a bust than last time, which was also a bust.
Yeah,
that's how I would say it.
There was some good stuff shown. There's some interesting games shown. There was plenty of games actually we've already seen shown as well. Sony didn't even bother to turn up.
Well, the presentations were not a value add on top of just showing us the stuff that they showed on the screen.
No, there really was nothing else. You got
like they didn't provide insight into the process.
No, it was buzzword, jargon.
Well, in the case of Bethesda, it was like lie. Yeah.
So yeah, there was whole big sections of the presses I skipped because it was some executive standing on stage talking absolute garbage.
I was playing FGO the entire time, so I only remember bits and pieces.
You just zone out. All right. So yeah, with Sony out of the way, I think I'm just going to go down the list as I've got them here. Let's get probably the most emblematic.
Just going to dive right in.
We'll just dive straight in. We'll cover weeks later or next week when we got Ari back. Yeah, let's just cover the one that shows really E3 how it means to go on. EA. They were the first out of the gate with their presser.
For starters, I've heard that, and I did not investigate this myself, so this is hearsay from me, but I've heard that the likes of GameSpot and IGN in that they jammed all of their what's it called? All of their ads, all of the adverts that they're going to monetize from YouTube they jammed them all into the first hour. There's no advertising after that because they knew nobody would watch any longer after that.
No, there's no real point. And yeah, the reason is EA only had one game to show off.
Yeah, it was. I normally expect this sort of crap from them, but for some reason I was still slightly surprised. I got to the end of their first segment and I looked at their coming up next menu and I switched it off.
Yeah, so did I. I saw what was coming up and it was like, that's not worth talking about and it's going to be cringy.
It was, I'm sure.
So let's talk about the only valid piece of actual content out of EA, which is Jedi Fallen Order.
Right, so they've been teasing this at length in disgraceful fashion. No, this is a different project, actually. When I actually did the investigation, I can't remember the details, but when I actually investigated it, this is not part of the previous project. It's done by a different studio, a completely different project, with different funding under different advisement.
Right.
It's actually totally separate. all of the other ones that kept getting cancelled and delayed were a separate project that did get entirely scrapped. And this is some other project off to the side. This is not that project.
Okay. So, Jedi Fallen Order. It's an Uncharted-style Star Wars game. Which is apparently not the Uncharted Star Wars game that they cancelled.
Well, I don't think it's an Uncharted-style game, though, because it doesn't look like one.
It looks pretty close to an Uncharted-style game.
No, it doesn't look like an Uncharted game at all to me. It doesn't even look slightly like one. Because the Uncharted style of game was basically designed to look like a playable movie.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of very action Hollywood-esque set pieces.
Yeah.
From what they showed us, there are no set pieces. This is an incredibly bland skin over like a God of War style action game.
Okay, I'll give you that.
It's just an action game. It is the dullest crap out of all of the big name titles that got announced at E3 this year. Or got shown off for the first time. This was the most anticlimactic.
Yeah.
It was. They've talked this up for so long, and all it is a what looks like a slightly worse version of Jedi Knight. I would rather play Jedi Academy again or something like that.
Yeah, I was watching it and I was just thinking this combat is just so bland and by the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I don't think it's an Uncharted game, because Uncharted knew that its combat was not going to be great, because ultimately you're going to hide behind a chest high wall and shoot things.
Yes.
So they put a huge amount of effort into set pieces.
Yep.
In this case, they're trying to make the combat front and center.
Yeah.
It still sucks.
Just no, don't do that. Don't. It could be saved by its writing, but given the recent pedigree of Star Wars, I'm not hopeful.
I don't think it's going to be saved by its writing, because there are ways of showing off writing in a trailer. You're not necessarily going to have it telegraphed to you that the writing is good, but you can telegraph that the writing is there. You can look at Uncharted trailers to see that sort of thing.
Yeah.
About how to make a movie style game, which is what Uncharted is. You can make it look exciting with plot twists and characters which have personality and so on and so forth. What part of the presentation showed that any of those characters have any personality?
The robot? No, not really. No.
What the impression that I came away with of the characters was that they had exactly as much personality as sort of like an MMO player character does. They were just class stand-ins.
Yeah.
Like the trooper guy was the trooper from SWTOR. The Jedi guy was like the Jedi from SWTOR. Like there's they don't have anything. They don't have anything that you can describe about them.
No, and it's entirely forgettable. Like, once you've finished watching the trailer, you go, yeah, that was a Star Wars trailer, and that was it. You might remember the little robot and legs, and that's about it.
So this is basically a crummy spin-off of Force Unleashed, which is saying something.
It's a crummy spin-off of a crummy spin-off.
At least, though, with the Force Unleashed thing, like you can tell by watching that character play that he's an angry teenager, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Like
he basically bleeds edge.
Yeah, you can see the sort of person he is through the things that he does. There was no information conveyed by the characters in the presentation for Fallen Order. Now, they have time to flesh all of this stuff out. Like, it's not coming out tomorrow. But it was not an inspiring presentation.
No.
It made me think that the game is going to be bad. And that there's very little way of saving it.
Even if they do hitch up the writing and, flesh out the combat a little bit more, there is always the big elephant kind of hanging over the thing, and that is EA.
Yeah, they've made "We're not going to be evil this time, guys" their marketing campaign for this, bragging that there's going to be no loot boxes. We're not going to we're not going to monetize it out of every orifice. Like, it's totally going to be you buy the game and then you'll have the game. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Nobody
well,
believes that.
we'll believe it when we see it.
Yeah, it's
If you can,
they can't help themselves. They've proven that.
yeah, I
Uh,
don't know. It's just it also comes under the aegis of being one of those stories where you're well, there are two things here that I think are very stereotypical and really don't work in the favor of this game. The first is that this is one of those scenarios where you are the last of your kind, like all of the others, sort of thing.
yeah.
Like everybody is one of the last surviving Jedi in the setting because this takes place shortly after Order 66.
Well, even if you take out a lot of the other stuff, the extended universe stuff, how many Last Jedi's are there now?
Everybody's a last Jedi.
Everybody's a Last Jedi, yes.
Yeah, but all at once. They just don't even meet each other, so they all think they're the last one. But
Except for Rain, I suppose.
So you've got that situation. The other thing which sticks in your craw is that he's a Padawan and he's just good at everything,
Yeah.
absolutely everything.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, Ray has given us an excuse now, so we can just make a Padawan good at everything with no training.
They stated that the gameplay, the trailer they showed was kind of just after he graduated from Padawan, but you know that when you start the game, you're going to have, by and large, the same move pool and animations.
That blaster bolt stopping thing that
Mm.
he does, that was the shtick that they used in the new trilogy, in the first movie of the new trilogy, whatever it was called, I don't even remember, to show off what a Force prodigy Kylo Ren was.
Yeah. Except everyone
It's
can do
supposed
it.
to be an incredibly difficult ability. That's the reason why nobody uses it until Kylo Ren does it in Episode 7.
Yeah.
Because it's a showy ability that takes a humongous amount of raw power.
Yeah. And now this guy can do it.
And this guy does it every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like his main weapon. And
Uh,
speaking of main weapons, the player for their demonstration, presuming that they had a player playing, presumably a player was playing at some point.
possibly.
Yeah, whether it was at the presentation or not
I
is
loved how
an
they
open
came out and they
question.
said, this is genuine gameplay, is completely unscripted and unedited. Yeah, no.
Well, I mean, it's unscripted. It might be unscripted and unedited, but there's a question of time frame. It might have been scripted and edited beforehand. But the guy was blatantly trying to show off a range of different abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And what a gamer playing a game actually does is rapidly converge on the most efficient way to dispatch someone.
Yes, so you'll see an actual player doing the same combo over and over and over.
Yeah, if it's effective, then they'll use it. That's the way it'll go.
It's a minor niggle, but yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is that they spent a lot of time talking up the combat and how they had some special name for it as well that I don't remember.
No, I don't even remember.
But they tried to convey an idea that the combat would be highly intellectualized, that it would be an involved intellectual decision-making process, as opposed to it's a humanoid enemy, so I can hit this button and it'll instantly die.
Well, we've seen people try that before, but ultimately, once the gamer gets hold of it, is okay, I could do all these big, flashy, highly intelligent combos, or I could mash square.
Mashing square on average turns out to be real efficient.
Usually, yeah.
Most of the time.
So
And it's pretty rare that doesn't work.
yeah. So I suppose it's nice to see EA actually attempting a single player game for a change, but it doesn't inspire confidence.
I don't have any faith in this game. Like, it could turn out to be great. There is room for that still. But this presentation of it made it look awful.
There was another trailer, I believe, in Microsoft's presser, which showed a little bit more and gave a little bit more interesting scenes. But yeah, not much. I think the most memorable thing was somehow getting the the Commando character stuck on the windscreen of an AT-AT. I have no idea how.
I see.
Yeah. So that's it for Jedi Order. The rest of EA's presser was not inspiring. Like, they showed their lineup and it was Apex Legends. Nobody plays Apex Legends anymore. It's had its 5 minutes in the sunlight. Everyone's gone back to Fortnite. FIFA,
Yeah.
Madden, same thing every year. Sims 4, it's the money spinning game engine. Nobody cares. People who really like The Sims are still playing Sims 3.
The only I'll give a commentary on a couple of those things. As far as Apex Legends goes, from what people are saying, the decisions that they're making going forward, as telegraphed by Apex Legends is presented, they are the right decisions, but it's all too little, too late.
Yeah.
They needed to come out the gate on a level playing field with Fortnite, not behind Fortnite and rushing to try and catch up.
Yeah.
The new character they're introducing is a specific anti-meta character as well.
Okay.
Opinions are divided on whether or not that's the way you should balance a game, but that's what the new character is for. Like, it's designed to tamp down on some of the hyper aggressiveness of the gameplay as it is manifested.
Okay.
On the other note, similar criticisms I would apply to Battlefield 5. In the sense that they need to be on a level playing field with Fortnite, and they're not. They came out the gate retarded and remained retarded.
The thing is, though,
every time they've had a chance to catch up, they've done something else retarded. Like, they released what, from all accounts, is a solid battle royale thing, but you still got a barrier to entry in that you have to pay money to get in. Why is it not free to play? If it's free to play, then you get eyes on your game, which is what they don't have.
I still find that, though, the Battlefield 5 Battle Royale is entirely unnecessary. Like, Battlefield 5... Battlefield is great when it's being Battlefield.
They should be investing. They should be investing their time on that. I'm not advocating for the Battle Royale. What I am saying is that the move that they made is not one that fixes their problem, because they are playing catch up.
Yup.
And they're playing catch up from an inferior position.
Yep.
There's no way that they can accomplish anything with this current strategy.
No.
The last thing that I'll say is that Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has done a whole bunch of squawking about how they don't have loot boxes. They aren't going to base the entire game around microtransactions. Look at us, aren't we kind? They also run FIFA.
Yes,
the single most evil loot box infested game on the market, possibly, outside of
Madden,
outside of the gacha space.
Yep.
FIFA, Madden, NBA, that family of games are the worst.
Yes,
by far,
easily.
So yeah, it's generally speaking, electronic arts are being disingenuous. They're don't have anything. They're being disingenuous, and they don't have anything worth showing. The entire thing was a bust, and the presenters were awful. Like, it was just cringe from top to bottom. I wanted to punch the first guy in the face. The woman that showed up looked like somebody's mother who was trying to recapture her youth. Like, the whole thing was cringy from start to finish.
I didn't pay much attention to the woman because I was more relieved that the first guy was gone.
Yeah, I certainly experienced that. My goodness, he was so annoying.
Such an absolute prat. Anyway, shall we move on? Who should we cover next?
Oh, I don't know. You pick someone.
All right. Well, if I go by the order I've done the slides in, the next up would be Microsoft.
Which
means I need to...
So...
Unfortunately, I made a mess of this one on myself. I've got my notes in one order and the slides in another. Because I am professional.
So I guess I'll say Microsoft at least had a bulky presentation.
Yes. But they did their usual thing where it's flashy trailer, no meat, no gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain point in the development cycle where that's pretty much all there is available to you.
Yeah. All right, let me just line up everything for Microsoft. There we are. So, oh boy, they had the stage to themselves this week. Yeah, they had no pressure from Sony, so they got up and well, they did exactly what they always did, I suppose.
Mm.
So they came out of the gate with Outer Worlds. Nothing really new added here. Like it still looks good for me anyway.
Well, this. I thought this one had been sniped by Epic.
It had on the PC space apparently. Apparently it's not on not as far as Xbox is concerned.
Well, I want them to steal Epic's lunch.
I do too.
That's what I want.
Yes. I'm not going to buy an Xbox to do so, but yeah, if it comes out on PlayStation, I'll gladly play it on the PlayStation, even though I'd rather play it on the PC. Just to steal Epic's lunch.
It's one of those games that has everything to prove, and they've been pretty mum about giving any details of any sort at all.
Mm-hmm. But
I'm not really sure how that game is going to shake down in the end. Like it's the whole thing drips Fallout.
Oh yeah, the game is more or less by both presentation and the team behind it. It's Fallout New Vegas in space.
Yeah, I mean there's not necessarily a bad thing.
No. The let's say Fallout that people want Fallout New Vegas again. So if this turns out to be exactly what this is, then well done.
I'm inclined to think that they know that people want Fallout New Vegas again,
or at least something of that quality.
Yeah, I think that they know what their customers want. They know what they're shooting for. The question is whether or not they get there. The question is whether or not they fully understand what parts of their product are the parts that people liked. And I'm not a huge fan of Fallout. I thought New Vegas was better than 3 from the little that I played, but it just was never something that really grabbed me. But so I'm not coming from a position of investment.
Mm-hmm.
However, what I felt was the case against this game is that as far as understanding their audience goes, they have already shown that their priority was to get in bed with Epic.
Yeah.
And people don't like that. And they should know that people don't like it. And that's what bothers me. Is that they are doing they in plain view did something that people don't like.
Yup. Sadly though, this that decision was probably made long before any of the Epic stuff blew up.
Maybe, but not necessarily. There's no reason to believe that was the case, because a lot of these deals that are coming out are, fresh and new. They're not like the whole debacle that we've had about Shenmue 3, for instance. That's not old news that's suddenly been revealed.
No.
This is a new deal that has been effectively rushed out. I don't think that this is. Yeah, that's another example of what I'm saying as well. I think that there's a problem in the understanding of on the parts of the developers of what are the things that people really want. Yeah. Do they care, or are they just sort of like running about hoping that they'll manage to not make any serious mistakes?
Yeah.
But
so
yeah, I don't know. I think that action shows that they aren't quite as canny as they really ought to be. But there's still hope for it. I'm not writing it off or anything. It's just I don't I don't trust somebody who was so willing to get into bed with Epic at the drop of a hat.
I am coming actually from a place of investment because I love the absolute pants off Fallout before Todd Howard happened. So I'm really invested in this game. I really want to play it, but I'm not. I would actually rather inconvenience myself than use the Epic Store, either by waiting for the game to come out on Steam, which is probably a good idea anyway, and get the Game of the Year edition or whatever they end up calling it, or buy it on the PS4 and use an inferior control method. Let's not rag on the Epic Store anymore. We've beaten that horse into a fine paste.
I don't think they're satisfied with the beating they've received.
Here's something else to beat on. Bleeding Edge.
It looked like an absolutely awful game.
It does. It looks bad.
And I think that the looks are very important here because it looks, and this is just the look, since they gave very little insight into what the game is going to be like per se.
Yep.
The game looks like it's a knockoff of Overwatch.
Yeah.
Number one, I thought we were over this. I thought we were done.
But no, a lot of games came out this year with, that kind of art style, which I can appreciate. We've kind of hit that point in realism where either you're going to become extremely disturbingly real or plummet into the uncanny valley. So everyone's kind of gone to this cartoony style.
Nobody needs to be beyond two souls.
No, nobody wants that.
Yeah, we can live with that. But it's not just the style. I don't think my personal feeling on the matter is that I don't think people actually want to play as characters that are overtly hideous.
Yeah, these
might be wrong,
designs.
but the character designs look like they're intentionally ugly.
Yeah.
They have purposefully gone out of their way to avoid the trope of having any attractive female characters.
I think they've avoided attractive male characters as well.
Yeah, they have, but it's long been more expected to have ugly male characters.
Yeah.
Whereas you're supposed to have at least one or two female characters who don't look like they've been smashed in the face with the ugly stick on your cast.
Even if it is just something to put on the box art.
Yeah, there is no such thing from what they've shown of this game. All of the characters are weirdos and misfits, and not in a cool way.
No.
They're just heinous. They look horrible.
They're gross.
Absolutely horrible. Yeah, grotesque.
Yeah. As far as the gameplay goes, from the tiny little bit you got out of that trailer, it's like, I don't know, some kind of Overwatch team-based deathmatch, maybe.
Yeah, it's really not. Didn't interest me at all. Even if I blot out the fact that the characters look awful, the gameplay just doesn't offer anything. No. They didn't even try and propose that it did. That was the thing that really confused me. Is that they just team-based combat. Yeah, we've heard of that. That's a thing that there is in video games. I've seen that before. Yes,
it's a thing we're familiar with.
Go on, and then rather than say, they just stopped. They showed the trailer with all the weird characters, one of whom looks like a character from Patriarchy comics.
Ugh,
but
with a weird. So what's actually funny is watching the chats for this one in particular. Like watching the live chat on an E3 presentation will give you cancer. It's terrible. Do not do it. But
make sure you've got an oncology specialist on call if you're going to do that.
Yes. But in this case, this is the team that made Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which was a very kind of thought-provoking, artsy game with decent combat and a main character with rather strange predilection for carrying around 7 heads.
I'm dubious about that game because it dropped off the map as soon as the media stopped shilling for it constantly.
Yeah. But by all means, all reports, it wasn't terrible. So a lot of people were kind of hoping for a sequel to that. And when they were presented with this, you could just feel the disappointment.
Well, it's because there's a million of those already.
Yeah. Everyone does these. None of them succeed.
Nobody wanted another one.
No.
Even Overwatch hasn't been able to succeed.
No. Overwatch is
It's in
floundering.
shambles right now.
Thankfully, though, the next game, I think they may have planned this. They went from Bleeding Edge to Ori.
Yeah, and it looks like Ori.
It does.
That's what I would say.
It's
It looks
gorgeous.
exactly the same as all the other Ori.
It is a very beautifully put together, visually stunning game, and it looks exactly like the rest of the Ori games. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, not necessarily a bad thing, but I mean, it's not original. That's for sure.
No. So if you liked Ori, there's more of it. Also, giant spiders. Enjoy.
But I don't like spiders.
Too bad. You're getting giant spiders. Just look at the cute little glowing rabbit thing.
Yeah, it's. I feel like they don't deserve credit for it though, in some sense,
Yeah.
because they've done the same thing over and over, and it's not a bad thing that they're doing. It's just
It's the same thing.
yeah.
Yeah. That one
I
comes
mean,
out on February 11th, by the way.
That's great for people who like Ori. It really is, but I don't know. Like they really deserve credit for doing the same game for a third time.
Nah, probably not. Then again, Nintendo. Alright, next game on the list is Minecraft Dungeons, which is a Diablo game, basically.
I'm wondering why they think Minecraft is still popular.
There's still a pretty big audience for it. People who play it on the side while they're playing something else, usually.
Yeah, but they're playing Minecraft.
They're still playing Minecraft, except...
They're not playing Diablo.
No.
They're playing Minecraft because they like to play Minecraft.
Yeah. This is Diablo wearing a Minecraft hat.
This doesn't even make sense to me, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like, people make mods and they'll make custom maps for this sort of thing, that way you can play in Minecraft and, you know, crawl through a dungeon and fight monsters and get loot. The combat system in Minecraft, even after the overhaul a few patches ago, is very basic and not very good. But you're not there necessarily for combat in Minecraft, you're there to build. This...
Yeah, I think most of the people who are playing Minecraft are tooling around. Yeah. I don't think that they're playing in the competitive sense.
It's either turn on creative mode and blow everything up, or load the game up with so many mods that it barely runs anymore. That's my two ways of playing Minecraft. So, like, this could be fun. It looks a little bit goofy, which is okay. The gameplay doesn't seem to do anything overly offensive. So it could be fun. Yeah. Take it or leave it, I guess.
I don't know. I don't think that there's. I don't. My doubts are about the market.
Yeah.
I think that what they're doing here, because as I said, people who like Minecraft are playing Minecraft qua Minecraft. So
yes.
What they are essentially doing is trading on the weight of the name Minecraft, and I feel like it's a little bit long in the tooth for that strategy.
Just a bit. Yeah, they need to come out with Minecraft 2 or something before they really go for it. Unless they're trying to lean on Minecraft story mode. Don't do that. Just don't.
That seems like a losing proposition, I have to tell you.
Tales of the Borderlands, it ain't. Alright, next game is Blair Witch. A horror game, which is no doubt going to be headache inducing.
I was able to pick that it was Blair Witch almost immediately, and just since I don't remember anything about that movie, I was sort of surprised that I had. Yeah, other than the shaky cam.
It is the godfather of shaky cam.
Is the game going to have shaky cam?
Yes and no, by the look of it. A lot of it seems to be done in third person.
What I will say about Blair Witch is that part of the movie is that nothing happens in the movie.
There's a lot of running around and grunting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but nothing happens.
nothing
And I was
happens.
sort of wondering, can you actually translate that over to an interactive medium successfully?
Stuff actually seems to happen in this. There's, psychedelic horror-y things going on. There's a dog. You've got your, mandatory Acme video game torch TM. The one with the battery life of maybe 10 seconds.
Yeah. Like I'm not entirely sure that that's a trope, because I'm here to tell you that for some reason my torch constantly runs out of batteries.
It may have parallels in real life.
I think that it is more of a trope that if you turn the torch off, it gets its batteries back. So
I wish someone could design that sort of torch, and actually have it work.
well, you get one of those torches that you constantly have to squeeze the lever to keep it shining.
Yeah, you got the squeezy ones, you've got the crank handled ones, you've got solar powered ones with the cell that's so small it doesn't matter.
Yeah, not really ideal.
This isn't the flashlight show though, so I don't know.
It's not.
It's not. It's also not the hygiene show as we may have established over the last couple of weeks.
At any rate, my complaint about the Blair Witch is that I don't understand how it's a game. This doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a game. I just don't understand how it is one.
It might be just a walking simulator. I don't know. What they showed of the little bit they showed of the gameplay didn't really convey much, and it generally doesn't for horror games. So
there's only so much that they could do in this presentation. I feel like Blair Witch is a tough proposition, really, in the sense that there's no way to show it off because it was always supposed to be a psychological thing.
Yes.
I don't know how you actually make a show of that. It's going to be hard to market, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. There's people who will pick it up on the name alone, and there's also people who will pick it up just because it's a psychological horror game. Oh no, that means YouTubers. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's going to be an endless series of, whatever that animatronic animals game was.
The Five Nights at Freddy's one.
If that's what it's called,
I don't know. Maybe that sort of class of YouTuber might avoid it because they tend to gravitate towards the no-budget horror games.
We should be so lucky.
Yeah. That's a thing. Okay, next game is one of the big headliner ones, Cyberpunk. They finally did it and actually completed the Cyberpunk checklist. We now have a character called Dex. I swear it's lore or something. A Cyberpunk setting must have a character called Dex or Decker. This is lore.
Right. Yeah. Problem is, I didn't see a game.
Nope. They did not show game. They showed
It's been a
cutscene.
Very long time now, and there's no game.
Nope.
Release date 16th of April 2020. They have time
to start showing game,
but not time to produce an entire game because I haven't seen any yet.
What they did show though is Keanu Reeves and have him stagger out on stage, and
he looked like he'd been drinking to me. I don't know whether Keanu Reeves drinks or not, but he's sort of a weird guy. So it's
what
possible
have they
that
been giving him in the green room? Did they just line the walls with scotch and let him have at it? I don't know.
To be fair, I feel like he did better on average than most Hollywood stars do.
True.
When trotted out on stage at E3.
It may have been because he'd been drinking. I don't know. I don't know if he actually was drinking or not, but he certainly gave that impression.
But, yeah, I think that he did pretty well. I think that more than anything else, I think that he accomplished what he was supposed to, which is to be memorable.
Yes,
because he instantly became a meme.
To show up to E3 drunk.
Well, I mean, lots of people do that, but I think that people enjoyed seeing him trot out on stage. I think that while he did not do anything good or game related for the the presentation, the fact is people will remember that he was there and that he trotted out and that he interacted with the crowd a little bit
Yes.
and basically made a clown of himself on stage in a way that everybody enjoyed.
Yes. So it was good times had by all. As far as the game goes, he's set himself up in there. He's filling the role of either the companion or the big bad, or as these games probably usually go, probably both. So
Yeah.
we'll see. They've claimed that they're going to have full-on branching storylines. No game's
I haven't
really
seen-
done that since the first ASX, really.
I haven't seen one storyline yet. I'll
No.
settle for one if it's actually good. But yeah, I normally I have a lot of faith in CD Projekt Red to at least be able to trot out a decent game in the end. But
Mm-hmm.
this has been starting to walk the line of vaporware because it's been so many years and they haven't showed any gameplay.
Yeah.
Supposedly, this project started a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. But
And
we've got a release
we
date
haven't yet
now.
to see anything. We do have a release date.
So they've
But it's-
shown, I think the most gameplay they've actually showed is walking around and maybe a little bit of shooting.
I feel like that release date is far enough away that you could quite reasonably state that there's just more time for them to do another delay.
Very, very possible. Okay.
So yeah, it's just one of those games that I'll believe that it's going to be any good when they show anything about the game at all.
Yep. All right. Moving on. Now it's indie time because, of course, it is. Xbox has to get their claws in there somehow. Spiritfarer. Apparently, it's about building a houseboat and exploding reindeer people. I don't know.
I felt like it was supposed to tug on the heartstrings somehow.
My heart is shriveled and dead. You've killed a
I
game
don't think
industry.
I don't think it's really even about that. I think it's more that I don't know if that venue works for me.
Nah.
Period. Like, I don't know. People always talk about certain games being emotionally engaging in some way, like that game with the two brothers or whatever. I can't remember
Brothers.
what the game was called. Brothers? Was it called Brothers? I don't know.
Brothers.
Like
Tale of Two
everybody
Sons,
talked.
Yeah.
Everybody talked about how that was like super emotional and so on and so forth, but people still stopped talking about it. So it clearly didn't really leave a cultural mark of any kind. And this game is vastly more abstract looking than that.
Yeah. I don't know.
And it's like you show a picture of a character hugging a furry, and you're expected to think, "Oh."
Aw. Yeah. And then
How about you tell us what the
explodes.
game is about?
Yeah.
There's a severe deficit of explanation going on this year.
When did? So yeah, it's.
I mean, it's
huge.
It's not building on a legacy like
Nah.
Last Guardian was. People knew from a glance that Last Guardian was going to kick you in the nuts
Yes,
because that was what that franchise does.
and it did.
And if you have a strong bond between a boy and his creature, then
Griffin
that
thing.
bond is going to get trampled on with extreme prejudice before the end of the story.
Yeah, Shadows of Colossus did it.
It's
Yeah.
debatable whether or not you are happy or sad to see you to get dragged down that hole.
I was actually quite pleased by that point.
It varies depending on how cooperative she has been over the course of the game.
You take your eyes off her and take 2 steps away, and suddenly she's getting dragged away by shadow monsters.
She
Yorda
doesn't have
is
much of a sense of self-preservation, really.
Not even remotely, no.
But yeah, so I'm not saying that there's not meat on the bones of Spiritfarer. I'm saying that they have managed to show us just enough to show that we don't know anything about it.
Yeah,
But it seems like you're basically, taking furries to their eternal reward.
That could be it, I guess. You're some sort of cute art house Grim Reaper.
Yeah, like, well, you seem to be shoving them through the Stargate or something. I don't know. It's it's very strange, and there's no explanation given. I don't know why you're on a houseboat. I don't know how that thing stays afloat,
Yeah.
or what you even do on it. What is the objective of building it up? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. The game is just a whole pile of question marks.
Yep. Here's another question mark for you, and it's for the next game. Why? It's
Because it's a
Battletoads.
meme. It's a meme.
It's a meme.
That's all there is to it. It's a meme.
It
And
is.
people will buy it for meme power.
Yes, they will. And
That's all you need.
to try and
In the
catch on
modern
to
world-
nostalgia that they never actually had.
Yeah, like I don't know if there is a cult following for Battletoad. There might be.
There might be.
Because it is a well-known retro game.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't think that anybody will buy this one because they like the old one. They will buy this one because it's memorific.
It looks very 90s, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
So it's kind of a Double Dragon style brawler type dealy.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that is the case. That is what is taking place.
Mm-hmm. There is the punching.
I'm not convinced that anybody wanted it.
No, probably not.
I don't begrudge them their toads. It's perfectly all right for them to want toads.
Mm-hmm.
If they're into that.
They do recreate the jet bike level, but this time you're at least behind the jet bike, so it's not quite so horrific.
Yeah, I don't really see the.
Yeah, there's people who buy it just because memes, but yeah.
And like that's the sort of game that it seems to me like the sort of game that is meant to appear to be done because of the love of the franchise, but is actually done because the franchise is so spectacularly memorific that it's going to be able to make money on that alone.
Yup.
I think that that's what's going on here. It's a bit cynical.
Okay.
Not all the way cynical, but a little bit cynical.
Just a little bit cynical, yeah. All right, next game, Legend of Right. The question for this one is what?
I think the question for this one is how many people can play it without getting a pounding headache.
Probably none.
Because that looks like an eye-strained city.
It does. It's like art styles flipping all over the place and your twitchy pencil drawings, and I have no idea what was going on in this, what the game really even is.
Somebody had a cool indie idea.
Somebody got drunk and tried to rip off Little Big Planet.
I don't know what's going on. It's another game they didn't give any real explanation for. I don't know if there's going to be a story. It's like I don't know. Everybody is the wrong term. A lot of people played this game when they were a school kid, where they would draw games.
Yes.
Especially if the class was boring.
Stick figure war.
But I think that sort of game, especially in the collaborative sense, it's not something that needs to be a video game.
Nah.
Because it's just basically taking the creative aspect away from you, ultimately.
I can't even tell what kind of game this is. Like, is it a puzzle game? Is it an RPG? I don't know.
I think it's a widget.
It could be a widget game. Or just a widget.
I don't think it's a game. I think it's a widget.
So, okay. It's got interesting visuals, but that's all we know.
How much is that worth to you?
Not much. Not much at all. Next game with a whole lot of visuals. Microsoft Flight Sim. It's very shiny.
I was astonished that they would actually put Flight Simulator on the docket.
I'm actually surprised to see it there as well.
I thought that it was like Farming Simulator, in that they were confident that the people that buy Flight Simulator would buy Flight Simulator again, and that there was no point in putting it at E3 because nobody who doesn't buy Flight Simulator is going to buy it just because they saw it at E3.
No, if they were going to buy it, they were already going to buy it if they saw it. People's dads. It's very pretty, and they showed off a whole lot of real world locations, which they've rendered beautifully in the engine. It's probably going to make your PC chug like an absolute steam engine, though.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a lot of motivation goes into optimizing those. I don't know if that's a thing.
Yeah. What are the odds are that when you actually install it onto your PC or even on your Xbone, it's not going to look nearly that good?
I've never seen any of those sort of be able to make good on the promises as far as appearance goes. They usually don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's really much to talk about there because like I said, it's a flight simulator game, and it will be bought by the sort of people who like to buy flight simulator games. And that's all that they need to do, and it's all that they did do. The only strange part was that they put it on stage at E3.
That's it. Next game, very quickly. This one's not going to take long. Age of Empires 2, the Shiny Edition. Now, I thought
Well,
we
I
were
mean,
actually going to get through E3 for once with nobody mentioning 4K.
why? Because they started mentioning 8K now.
Probably, yes.
But
It was shaping
I
up so well. Nobody had mentioned 4K until Age of Empires 2.
I have no idea why you would speculate such a foolhardy thing. Don't know
Yeah,
why you would think that. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
maybe I just still have a slight little bit of optimism that isn't quite dead yet.
Now, for me, Age of Empires 2 fell in a gap in my gaming career where I had moved entirely over to console due to a new computer being a too expensive proposition for my family.
Mm-hmm.
So all of my nostalgia is directed at Age of Empires 1 and none of it at 2.
Yep.
So I don't have any real attachment
You
to
might
to
enjoy
this
2
game.
then. 2, it covers kind of the Crusades and a little bit of Arthurian legend in there and all of that time period. As far as mechanics, it tightens up what AoE 1 really established.
Yeah. So I didn't really play it, but I did play Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds.
Ah, the joy of blowing up Gungans. Memories.
Can't be replaced by anything.
Nope. So yeah, Age of Empires 2 is getting a new and shiny edition.
Why isn't Star Wars Galactic Battleground?
Why isn't? Because they'd probably
Like, when
polish
was
it
the
up and
last
ruin
time?
it.
Like, that game has vanished off the face of the earth.
You can get it on GOG.
Can you?
Yes, and I
I
have.
may actually do that because it seemed very strange that for a long time nobody seemed to know what I was talking about.
It's one of these games that you know you've played, but nobody else seems to know it exists.
Now, anyway,
They think you're
the
lying.
Age of Empires games are they deserve the kudos they get because they are genuinely good games. And due
Well,
to being
let's never speak of Age of Empires Online.
doesn't exist.
No, it
What are you
doesn't.
talking
Not
about?
anymore. It's dead.
Yeah. I'm talking about the only Age of Empires that I am concerned about are 1 and 2.
Maybe
There aren't
mythology.
I don't count mythology as one of them. I don't count it as one of them regardless of how good or bad it is.
Fair
Because
enough.
it's not like any of the others
No, it's
at
not.
all. It has no resemblance whatsoever.
Mm.
But yeah, so those ones are they are the Age of Empires 1 and Age of Empires 2 are both good games that stand to benefit greatly from being updated such that they can actually work properly on modern PCs and take advantage of larger monitors, larger resolutions, that sort of thing.
Yep.
I think that that's the sort of game that deserves its remake,
Mm.
in my opinion. That's what remakes are for. They're for that.
Yes. That is for that. Next game is Wasteland 3. I don't have a whole lot to really talk about this one. It's a tactical RPG with really kooky characters, I guess. Also, as that image displays, robot crabs.
Yeah, I'm not a Wasteland person.
Nah.
I've known a few, but I don't have any in on that myself.
It's one of those franchises that I really probably should be into because it's kind of wacky and it's a bit post-apocalyptic and robot crabs, but I've just never made it over to it. They did that Kickstarter, which got the franchise back up and running a few years ago. It's one of the first major Kickstarter successes. But now they've kind of found their groove and they're running alongside Microsoft.
Yeah, from all that I heard, it was good. Like it was a good game as well as being a successful Kickstarter,
Yes.
which is a rarity.
A very rarity, much a rarity. Here's actually a very, very poignant transition from that. Double Fine has crawled into bed with Microsoft.
I'm done with Double Fine. Like they did not deliver what and when I wanted them to deliver. They are dead to me.
Yep.
Even if whatchamacallit, Schaefer hadn't decided that it was his occupation, his calling in life was to be an absolute tool, I still would be done with them. Because apparently they're done with me. Where's the rest of Broken Age?
No, it's done. It's finished. That's it. That's our lot. So, yeah, they've crawled into bed with Microsoft. I'm not sure if it's, kind of a buyout or a partnership, which is going to lead to an inevitable buyout. It does ultimately, I suppose, mean Schaefer's hopefully been put on a leash.
Yeah, I expect that it's a purchase situation. If it's not, it will be very soon.
Yeah.
Well, I think outright they recognize that Schaefer is not without talent. The problem is that it needs to be controlled.
He needs to be steered in the right directions, which is why I guess they're feeling comfortable enough to start pushing Psychonauts 2, is because somebody's reined him in and actually made him do it.
Because it will actually come out, provided that somebody's, publishing it and footing the bill.
Yeah, huh?
I still think it'll probably be bad.
I really hope not.
I think that it will be a joke compared to the previous one. Like, I'm not like a super fan of the previous one or anything like that, but I could see that it was a really competent platformer, and I think that this new one will try and be that, and you will run out of content after 4 hours.
I want to say that's not going to happen, but it'll probably happen.
Yeah, it sounds reasonable, doesn't it?
It does.
Like you've got to recognize that no long game, no game of appreciable length and depth has ever emerged from development hell.
Nope.
That just doesn't happen. You look at anything that ends up in development hell, it never ends up being a deep game.
No.
Like the example of recent days is Final Fantasy 15.
Yes.
It is the shortest, shallowest Final Fantasy there is.
Yeah.
That's the price you pay for development hell.
Normally, though, that actually probably would be a good thing applied to a Final Fantasy game these days. After 13. No, not in the case of 15.
Well, 13's problem was padding.
Yes, all of the padding. 15 went too far in the other direction. And then still padded.
But, yeah, so Psychonauts 2, I don't have a lot of hope for it. What they have displayed looks the same as Psychonauts 1, and realistically, enough water has gone under the bridge that I think that is the right play.
Yes.
To make Psychonauts 1 again, except with different fruity stuff.
New levels and things, yep. Like this one, they showed the mind of the big bad from the first one, who is a dentist doing brain surgery, and you got this nightmare world made out of gums and teeth. It's Meat Circus.
I think that I think that they have the right direction. I don't have confidence in their capacity to deliver. That's what it comes down to. I don't have confidence in their capacity to deliver.
Yeah. So
I think they will deliver something. I just don't think that it will be what people dream of.
If anyone at Double Fine happens to find this, look at Psychonauts 1 and do that again. Just do that.
Yeah, I think that that's what they're doing. The problem is
Hmm.
that it's been flapping loose under Tim Schafer's direction for so long that I'm not sure that they've solidified anything. But I don't have any evidence that they haven't.
Yeah.
Because they've shown very little. What I will give them the most credit for is that what they have shown is what they should show
Yes.
at their stage in development. They've shown bits of story, they've shown familiar characters, they've shown familiar level design and
Mhm.
features. They've shown people what they need to see to continue to have faith in the development. I think that they executed correctly on that.
Yes. And they notably did not show much of Tim Schafer.
Yeah, nobody needs that
Nobody needs
in
that.
their life at all.
They couldn't get rid of him entirely, but yeah, they kept it to a minimum. Next game is Dragon Ball Z. Is it Project Z or is it Dragon Ball Z Kakarot? I have no idea.
It's officially Dragon Ball Z Kakarot now, as
Right.
far as I understand.
Okay, so they've actually named it after the fact, I guess. It's the first two sagas.
It's the same game again.
Again.
It's the same game that they've made like a jillion times.
It's the same saga. It's the Namek saga again.
Well, I mean, the thing that struck me about watching this particular trailer is that I felt like I'd played that game.
Yes.
Because it looked to me almost exactly the same as the appropriate segment of the story as portrayed by Budokai Tenkaichi 2.
Yes.
Or 3. I can't remember whichever one.
Probably both.
It looked the same. It looked the same.
It looked
I don't know
the
if there was a Tenkaichi 3.
Yeah.
I don't remember. But at any rate, it looked exactly the same as my experience. And I enjoyed it. It was cool. I liked it.
Yep.
The thing is that I already played it.
It also looks the same as Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 and 2 and Dragon Ball Z Fighters.
And the original Budokai series, and probably the SNES ones as well.
Yeah, aside from the graphics, I suppose. So, yeah, we've been here. We've done this dance.
Yeah, and there's only so much you can really do to improve the graphics.
We've kind of hit peak Toriyama graphics.
Yeah, like it's getting to the point where I'm finding Dragon Quest characters increasingly uncanny to look at. If you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like if you look at all those like Switch presentations and stuff.
Yep.
It's a little bit. This doesn't quite look right. This is kind of weird. Like I feel like the graphics needs to be a little bit rough around the edges. Might add the right sort of personality as opposed to them actually looking like animated mannequins, which is really creepy.
Yes, it
is. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's I don't see what they just close that one out.
Okay.
I gotta fix this slide, they need to have a selling point, and they don't have a selling point, and they didn't even present one.
Nope.
That's confusing to me. They must think something about this game is saleable, but they didn't tell anybody what it was.
No, it's Dragon Ball. People will buy it just because it's Dragon Ball, unfortunately.
There's got to be a cap on that.
There's got to be something, somewhere. Yeah. You can't keep doing that forever. Like, even Nintendo puts a new spin on things every time they release a Pokemon game. Not so much for Zelda, though.
And sometimes it's trubbish.
Why are you trubbish? Why are you so trubbish? I cannot find my image for this game. Where did it go? So the next game in the list is going to be... I'm just going to throw out the blank slide, whatever. Is 12 minutes. This is another kind of recurring theme that seemed to happen a lot at E3 this year, and that was time loops.
It was very indie, though. Like, this is the sort of thing that indies not only make, but it's the sort of thing that indie devs like to play. And I think that's why we're seeing so much of it.
Yeah.
Is that it's a game developer thing. And it must be something psychological about the iterative process of doing something over and over that's just appealing to the mind of game developers.
It could be it. It looks like my image has actually disappeared. I'm not going to bother downloading again. Imagine two people in a room. There you go. There's your image. And that's basically what the game is. It's two people in a room, and they're stuck doing 12 minutes over and over again. Apparently, one of them dies.
So my confusion over this particular one was that it's the same as my confusion over a number of titles this year, in that I couldn't work out what the game was about.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Are they trying to break the loop? The father or the male
Well,
lead at least seems to be kind of
you're thinking about it. You're thinking about it too much.
Yeah, I probably am.
You're thinking about it too much. What I'm actually complaining about is I don't know what you, the player, do.
No.
I'm not talking about what the characters do. I'm asking, what do you, the player, do? How do you interact with this game? Because
no idea.
Everything I saw looked scripted.
Very. And
there was no play. I didn't see playing happening, and I was very confused.
I have no idea what was going on. It was just, yeah, so very art house.
Yeah, and it can be a good thing, not guaranteed to be a good thing by any stretch.
No, not at all. All right, next one we're going to finish off Microsoft. We've only got a handful of games to go, which we'll skim through really quickly for most of them, and then we're going to take a break. This is one that was probably going to only bear a little bit of mention. Away to the Woods.
That's
Bambi,
the one with the deer, right?
That's the one with the deer and the glowing antlers and the flying fish.
That's another one which is falling in the category of I don't know what the player does. Not in this case, not because it looked scripted, but because the gameplay didn't look remotely engaging.
No, it
looked like a walking simulator.
It did, except with deer and glowing fish.
Yeah. You walk, except this time you're a deer.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. It seemed to be going through abandoned Tokyo as a deer. And, not Tokyo Jungle again. Because that game was fun and extremely strange.
I think that game, a lot of the legs that game had came from you starting as a little dog.
Yeah, and eventually building yourself up to a velociraptor.
I think that if you'd started as something similar but not quite the same, like a rat or a cat or any other breed of dog, it would not have had the same effect as what you actually started at.
Yeah. All right, so that game...
There's just something about its absurdity.
Yes. So, Way to the Woods looks FNAR. Very FNAR.
Yeah, it looks like a game that's not for gamers.
Yeah, it's art. It's an arty piece. Moving on, Gears 5. That first trailer. What on earth was going on there? It's like,
I don't know.
Marcus's daughter, and apparently she had a bad case of sprouty face.
Sprouty face?
Sprouty face.
I don't even know what you're saying.
It reminded me more of the Marek arc in Yu-Gi-Oh, where you've kind of got, let's just call him Melvin. His face kind of popping out of Marek's ghostly kind of like. It's weird. I know that doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless you know exactly what I'm talking about. So
no, it doesn't.
It was just this woman standing there and all these people's faces kind of flying out of her while she cringes in pain. It was very strange.
Yeah, I don't know. Gears of War has gotten away from me in a number of ways. I don't think I've got any access to that series anymore.
No, it was pretty much just.
I miss when it was just about. I miss when it was just testosterone because that made sense.
Aliens, chainsaws.
It's like, it's a giant worm. What are we gonna do? We cut out its heart. Like that made sense to me. It was brainless.
Now they're trying to add some intelligence to it.
Yeah, they're trying to grow up, and I think that the fact that you're playing video games shows that that's already beyond you. you should just accept it.
Yeah,
that's the ironically the mature thing to do is to just accept it.
Especially when you've got meaningful story and character development and all of this great stuff on one hand, and on the other hand, you've got chainsaws and aliens' guts.
Marcus Phoenix was never going to be a sensitive guy. I'm sorry.
I'm
You're
surprised his
doing
daughter
it
actually
wrong.
is after having him as a
But
father.
that feels forced to me.
It does a bit, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like with if you have Marcus Phoenix as a dad, you're probably going to have daddy issues of some kind.
Yeah. Okay, next on is Dying Light. It's zombies. I'm not even going to, by the way,
Zombies
we had the Series 2
again.
controller in the between, by the way, which just looks like an extremely expensive way to buy a new controller.
Yeah, I mean, if that was a standard controller at a standard controller price, I could probably get behind that.
Yeah.
I would like to have a controller that doesn't break all the time. And when I say break, I'm talking about my cables, really. 'Cause I can't get the Bluetooth to work for the life of me. And well, I can't get it to respond after I get it to connect would be more accurate. And my
Right.
cables keep spitting the dummy. I don't know why. I think that it's just the micro B format is a bad USB format as far as structural integrity goes.
Yep.
But yeah, you could probably sell me that controller if it didn't cost a mint, because it looks cooler. It looks like it's got the stuff that you need to be a catch-all controller.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not going to, because they're going to charge $1 million.
It's going to cost at least double the price of a standard. At least.
Yeah, and I don't. I might be able to go as far as $100 for a controller and not much further.
Yeah. There's a reasonable limit. All right, so yeah, Dying Light 2. It's parkour and zombies.
How many years have they been advertising this one? Because it feels like I've seen this a lot of times.
It's been a few. And I don't know, has it ended up in development hell as well? Who knows? But yeah, parkour, zombies. Yay. Alright, so yeah, skip that one. Next game. I was actually about to just entirely skip the Forza presentation. Entirely.
Well, because it's Forza again?
Because it's Forza again.
It's basically their TV spurts.
I'm glad I didn't, though. Because it was, here is Forza. And now, everything's Lego.
Yeah, I think that's how you branch out. That's how you get people into your genre.
Yeah.
Something that is accessible to everybody that they can understand, so that you can hook them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, lots of people will play it because it's Lego and you can smash things into 1 million Lego bricks, because that's got broad appeal.
Yes.
And that will give. I think that you've got potential to generate a lot of new players that way, because those players aren't going to have seriously played a racer before.
No,
if they're there for the Lego.
Forza up until now has been very much just her cars shiny her.
Yeah, and I'm sure they look great, but advertising that the cars look exactly 3.7% greater than the last iteration, that's not going to win any new converts.
No, but suddenly taking a right turn into Silly Town and making everything out of Lego certainly will. I actually wouldn't mind playing that.
I don't think I've got any interest in races anymore.
Normally, conventional races, I don't. But if they've got some sort of silly spin on them, I will gleefully give them a try. And building everything out of Lego and having it smashed to pieces as you crash into it is the sort of fun that just screams to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think races are something that is out of my wheelhouse now. Like, I don't like kart games except on the couch.
Yes.
And the only racer that I'm willing to play for racing's sake is Wipeout. There's not really anything else. I feel like everything else is inaccessible to me. It requires an organ that I don't have.
You say that, and then you say your favorite racer is Wipeout. Oh dear.
I don't understand what you're getting.
You need ridiculously good Twitch reactions to play Wipeout properly.
I didn't say it was. I was good at it. I just said I played it. I like it because it's got awesome visual stylings. It's got great music. It delivers adrenaline even if you're bad at it and have to play on a low speed.
Yes.
because a low speed on Wipeout is like balls to the wall for everyone else.
Yes. Incidentally, Sony, where is our new Wipeout game? GIF. Nintendo's not doing anything with F-Zero, so make a new Wipeout game. The Forza presentation, like, I had that usual feeling of dread. Like, they did their usual thing where they kind of had the door open and there's a car. No, this car was made of Lego. Entirely. Life-size car, Lego. Why the hell not?
It's a lot of brick.
It's a lot of bricks. It was probably just, faked, but whatever. Next.
Yeah. No, you can order those things. Like, it's a business.
It is, yeah.
I've seen documentary on it once upon a time.
Interesting. How much money would that cost? All of it?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
But they're like it's an actual business making promo Lego stuff.
Next game, and we come from Silly Town back to mediocrity at State of Decay 2.
What was that one again?
Zombies.
I know it's zombies, but which zombie one?
Yeah, I know, right? They all kind of.
Do you have a way? Do you have a way you can distinguish it from the other ones for my convenience?
State of Decay is the one where you kind of gather survivors and build a base up, but in this case, it's the two people who are trying to find a special person to.
Oh, that one. Right.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's going to turn out that they're looking for each other. That's exactly how this spin is.
I didn't understand what was being presented to me because my higher brain function switched off as soon as I saw it was about zombies again.
I know that feeling. So yeah, boring. Move. Here's something to get excited about. This is totally a troll kind of way. Phantasy Star Online 2 is finally coming to the West. So they say.
I am legitimately interested in this. Not because I have a hankering to play Phantasy Star Online 2. I don't. That anime pretty much destroyed any inkling I had of that.
That anime was so bad.
But
awful. Except for that little dance.
I still kind of want to play it because it had a spectacular amount of influence, generally speaking, both on JRPGs and on MMOs.
Yep.
Which are both things that I like.
I have a big soft spot for the Phantasy Star franchise, especially since going back and, 9-year-old me sitting there and blubbing my eyes out at Phantasy Star 4 because one of the main characters died an actual meaningful death. So I really love the franchise and I want to give this a go, even though the anime was awful.
I would like to give it a go, simply because of its importance to the industry. But that anime, man.
That anime. If it was just, half an hour of that stupid little dance at the end, fine. It would have been an improvement. But anyway, Phantasy Star Online, I'm not going to believe this is coming out until I'm actually playing it. And even then, only maybe. Because they've trolled us with this before and then just gone completely radio silent.
Well, I don't think that they've ever been so bold as to present a trailer at E3 and promise all the content, all of it.
For free. They haven't been that bold before, no.
This sort of boldness is way out of proportion to the normal sort of teasing that we see.
Yeah. I'm still going to maintain a healthy level of skepticism. And probably an unhealthy level as well.
No, you've hurt me before.
You hurt me before. Why you tell me these lies?
Okay. Well, because everybody's doing it.
Next game is Crossfire X. It's a game about guns and beards. And
I've already forgotten what this one was.
Exactly. The trailer showed really absolutely nothing. It just showed a guy with a beard and guns and maybe pixelated ghosts.
I see.
That was it. That's
a lie. I don't really.
Skip. Next is Tales of Arise. The Tales series is back and apparently pulling swords out of people's hearts.
That's not too far beyond the pale. But no, generally speaking,
it is Tales.
Generally speaking, it didn't look much like a Tales game.
No, it didn't. Did it?
It looked like they were really going for a bit of a different angle, maybe a more action-oriented sort of thing than the classic formulation. Although, you can't really tell,
Yeah.
But Yeah, it could be novel. It certainly looks pretty, but they usually do. In the end, it's a Tales game, so you go to space, you do all the usual things.
Yep, yep. Power of friendship, nonsense, really janky combat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they'll solve their combat problem. I don't know.
If they're doing a completely new system behind it, maybe. So we'll see. It could be good, but Tales games kind of run the gamut a bit. There's some really, really good ones, and then there's some really forgettable ones.
Yeah, deeply awful.
Just dreadful. All right, next Tales, not Tales. What am I saying? Borderlands 3. They didn't really show anything new here.
Yeah, it's doing what it does. Pretty much it.
Yeah, it's
It's not
Borderlands.
really
There is
any-
guns. You shoot things. They did show Vaughn in his underpants. Why? Why you
Why
do
would
this?
you do that? I don't
Incidentally,
understand.
I have played a bit of the new expansion that they've just put out for Borderlands 2, and Vaughn is a big part of it. So I was really happy to see him turn up. Thankfully, he's mostly clothed.
I see.
He seems to have really embraced his raider or bandit chieftain role after Tales of the Borderlands. And he's still an enormous dork, yes. Alright, next game is another one that we can't talk about too much. It's Elden Ring. It's J.R.R. Martin's high fantasy thing.
Well, it's basically FromSoft in Game of Thrones having a baby,
Pretty much, yeah.
which means that it's destined, and since it's got J.R.R. Martin behind it, maybe it'll never come out.
That'll be a
Uh.
relief, I think, actually. Like, they showed this kind of very high fantasy, high concept trailer, which showed absolutely nothing except it maybe trying to be Lord of the Rings.
All that really did was show that there's an idea to make a game.
Yeah. Except with George R. R. Martin behind it, it's probably going to be do one shocking thing and then milk it for the rest of the series. I'm looking at
Mainly,
you,
I feel bad for
Game
the
of
people who are
Thrones.
waiting for his books, because this is just another distraction.
It's one of the reasons I hate Game of Thrones is because he does the same thing over and over and expects people to be shocked.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of Game of Thrones. I have no interest in it because, frankly, it doesn't look very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't understand why everybody else thinks it does look interesting, but they do. I mean, they're welcome to it.
Here's
I
a
don't understand.
suggestion to those people: read a book. I know that's harsh, probably needlessly harsh, but read a book. And that's Microsoft done. So yeah, there's some interesting stuff in there. It is worth noting that most of the stuff that is announced for the Xbox One is also coming out on PC, namely Steam.
Yeah, Microsoft have decided pretty much that they don't care a huge amount about selling consoles anymore. Like that's still part of their business to do that, but they are more interested in putting games in people's hands. That's where they're going. It seems like they feel like they can play this game of fighting against other consoles ad nauseum, but there's never going to be any commercial victory there.
No.
Which I think is a reasonable conclusion.
Whereas Microsoft, maybe they've realised that they could potentially have a massive stake in the PC market at long last.
Yeah, they've got every PC ever is on their platform already.
Yeah. They had Microsoft Game Studios releasing games for the PC for a while, and then that kind of dropped off, and they went Xbox for a while, and then they released
games for Windows Live.
The less said about that, the better. That and the Microsoft Store. So I think they're doing the smart thing here and saying, sod it, we can't design a marketplace on the PC space to save our lives. We'll just use Steam.
Yeah, why not? Why not? They're still buying their games, putting money in their pockets.
Yeah.
They might as well get the money now rather than, hope that maybe a miracle will happen and they'll get money later.
Yeah. It's not to say that they're going to stop making consoles anytime soon, but
no.
Yeah, they've realised here's a secondary pool of money we can tap into.
Yeah, in fact, they decided to talk about their new console, which is quite evidently not very developed yet. and that it was unusual to my mind for them to come out the gate so strong like that when they didn't really have anything to talk about.
Yeah, they just put it out saying that the console is kind of being worked on, but honestly, it would have been being worked on ever since they finished design of the Xbox One, because you can't have R&D people flapping around the place. You don't know what they'll do. So
I don't know.
yeah, it's maybe they just wanted to get their word out there and say, yes, we've got a new console in the works before Sony turns up and says, here's the PlayStation 5.
I think that's really what I think that they've had their lunch eaten pretty badly over the past generation as far as getting scooped by Sony goes. And
Yes.
they realized that, I think that what they're realizing is that despite the fact that they were smote from heaven by Sony didn't really do that well out of it. Like, ultimately, it didn't give them a huge advantage. It just gave Microsoft a huge disadvantage.
Well, Microsoft gave Microsoft a huge disadvantage with their terrible
Well, yeah,
decisions.
but what I'm trying to get at here is that being the winner of the console war doesn't really help you that much in the long term. It's
Nope.
just, oh well, you won this round, so you get an incremental advantage over your opponent, and there are a bunch of fanboys on your side for that's worth. Like
You don't want
I
those
think
people.
that they're realizing that they could go back, lock horns again, and accomplish a coin flip pretty much.
Pretty much.
Why keep flipping the coin when you can go for a sure thing?
Exactly. So yeah, you've got the PC market there sitting, begging, being largely ignored by the AAA space. Why not capitalize on it?
So they do have their new Xbox coming out, their Project Scarlet, but they don't have any information to provide.
Yeah, it's just a thing at this point.
They did talk at length about their plans for using SSDs, which is pretty much in line with everybody else. Both Sony and the other people who are trying to move into that space have made it clear that hard drive access speed and random read write speed, that sort of thing, they are the bottleneck now, because anybody who has been playing anything on console in the current generation knows that what really guts you is the loading times.
Yes.
Like, can you imagine a Monster Hunter with like a couple of second loading times?
I don't need. Oh, yes. I was going to say you Monster Hunter with long loading times, because I know. No, with a couple of seconds per hunt, just jump in and be hunting within a minute. Beautiful.
Yeah, like people would never stop playing. So
here's a better
yeah,
idea. It makes Dauntless actually playable.
I don't even understand how Dauntless can have such long loads.
I have not.
It's not loading anything good.
No, it's not.
Any rate, so the big thing that they were trying to shell through all of this was their new subscription services. Now, I got to say that I'm getting a bit of subscription fatigue here, because everybody seems to want to have one of these.
Yes.
But I think that this is pretty much a necessity in the current market, that you are going to have one of these, because I think that this is basically, how do I explain? This is competition for Steam.
Yes.
Essentially, because the situation with hardcore gamers on Steam now is that they buy every game.
Yes.
Because they just wait for deep discount, and then they've got every game. So essentially, you are paying for a subscription service with a certain amount of it's a la carte to a certain extent, and you pay in unpredictable chunks. But generally speaking, every game that you want, you get.
Yeah.
At some point, this is basically a competition to that, and that you pay a regular amount at a regular period, and you have everything that way. So it accomplishes the same essential thing from a different angle.
Now that
plus you can get things sooner. So
yeah, now that the kinks are being worked out of the system, because Ubisoft's also announced that they're doing pretty much the same thing. You just pay up a small fee every month, and you get access to their entire library as you want. And if you don't want, so you can just fork out $15, play a new release for a month, and then stop paying if you really want to.
And this is the natural progression from the PlayStation Plus model.
Yes.
where you get free games, you get free full games every period.
Mm.
So I expect that this is the way that that everybody is going to go eventually. I think that part of the reason, like Sony said that they didn't have anything to show, so they were going to do the graceful thing and not show up. And I think that that's true. However, also I think that they wanted to rest for a little bit and watch to see what direction everyone is going, to see if there was a gap or a trend that they needed to be a part of on the ground floor.
So
Because if they didn't already have a Game Pass system in the works, which is relatively likely they already did, but if they did not already have, PS Plus in the works, they do now.
They do now, yes. I would not be a scrap surprised if we see Sony come out and say we're transforming PlayStation Plus into this new subscription, access the whole library model within maybe 12 months.
Yeah, I think it'll be less than that.
It'll be less than that, at least to the initial announcement, definitely.
Like, it will be at the next Sony announcement.
Which is...
whenever that is.
September, I think it was. They said they are planning something.
It'll be the next one, if not sooner, depending on what other events there are between now and then.
And how much they want to jump on this.
They don't want to be the last person there. So,
yeah, these subscriptions aren't necessarily a bad thing anymore. The downside, though, is it's only for that publisher's library. So if you want access to, the Ubisoft one, the EA one, why? And the Microsoft one, that's, 15, 15, 15. So it adds up really quick.
What I'm hoping is that Sony will take a different tack on that. Because, Sony doesn't have a very big library qua Sony.
No, they don't.
So what I would like to see from them is an expansion of their PS Plus discount service, basically, so that they can run a hybrid between Steam and Microsoft, where you're still getting your content a la carte, but you are basically able to use their store a lot more aggressively, because I think that it's not just true for us. I think it's true for a lot of people that people don't buy from the Sony store unless they have to, because the sales are rare and often naff.
Very naff. So
if I think that what they are more likely to do is expanded the direction in Microsoft, but not go all the way, because charging an additional fee for access to Sony's catalog doesn't get you very much.
No, it really doesn't. So, yeah, if they can expand it out and start throwing up some really deep discounts and big headliner sales a couple of times a year, I'd be all for that.
Essentially, I think they have to at this point.
They can't just keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, their current approach, where they have sales, like some of the sales that you get for having a PS Plus subscription are really good. It's just that they're too small in scope.
Yeah,
I think that they need to broker some deals that will allow them to compete.
Yeah, so we shall see. Anywho, we should take a break.
Righto.
So we're going to play a little bit of music and get some throat moisturing, and we'll be back in a moment. And we're back. And sufficiently moist.
We've been moistened.
Moist. Okay, let's just pick up right where we left off. So the next game studio in this list is... right, these guys. It's Bethesda time.
Right, Bethesda. Okay.
Yeah.
Todd the Liar and Co.
Yeah. Sadly, because we skipped EA's presser because it was guaranteed to be cringe, we got a cringe from Bethesda.
Boy, was it ever cringy.
Oh, the spiels of these people saying, we love Bethesda games. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It was so, why do they keep doing this?
I don't know.
Nobody actually cares about that. The customer doesn't care. The journalists don't care. The journalists that do journalism don't care. Like, there's no one who cares.
Nobody cares.
What are you trying to do?
Why? Are you just trying to humanize your game studio? You failed.
Bit late for that.
Yeah, it's a bit late for that, and you failed by having these people who are obviously fake on screen.
Why?
Just why? Stop it.
I'm not impressed. Not impressed. But right, okay, so first of all, they did their shtick where they try and justify the existence of Fallout 76 and how it's not actually as bad as it obviously is, guys.
I thought you were actually about to say justify the existence of Todd Howard, but they failed that too.
Well, I mean,
what really annoys me is
there's only so much you can do about that.
What really annoys me is he gets up and he's just aware enough of the game's shortcomings to make jokes about it, but not to actually address them.
Yeah, he does this every time nowadays. Like the last time when he's like talking about how they were going to go into the beta for Fallout 76, and he's like, I read on the internet that our games have some bugs.
Duh.
Like, yeah, I know you think that that's cute, but it's not actually cute. There are Bethesda fanboys who do think it's cute, but
those people are wrong.
There are not very many of those.
No, there's not. It's annoying. It's very annoying. So
at any rate, they announced Fallout 76 stuff.
They announced the Wastelands expansion, which adds in the thing that they said they were never, ever going to do for this game: human NPCs.
Yep, and they acted like it was the plan all along.
And they've added in human NPCs. They've added a fully thought out and voiced storyline.
Well, I don't know if it actually exists yet.
I wouldn't say it's fleshed out either, because these Bethesda storylines tend to be a bit naff.
Cough, Skyrim, cough.
Cough, Skyrim. All the good stuff in the Bethesda games is not the main storyline. It's on the B tier stuff. That's where you find the quality. Dark Brotherhood, anyone? But, so...
Well, their killer edition, though. Their killer edition is the same one that we always see. The Battle Royale mode.
Yeah.
Because that's what they need, right? And it also looks identical to the one in Battlefield 5. It's got the same sort of Ring of Fire approach.
They even played Johnny Cash for it.
Yeah. That's cute.
That's cute.
Nobody asked for this?
No, we didn't. We don't want to.
What does this have to do with being a Fallout game?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So this Wastelands expansion honestly is what I think the game should have been at launch. It has the human NPCs. It has a storyline. It's not just, let's crap on the lore and establish canon and throw everyone out of the vault to murder each other. And then, they've just tacked on Battle Royale. I'm at least glad they don't have the gall to charge people for it.
Well, I mean, why were they investing development money in that, though? And how long have they been doing that? Is there anything more to it than just, hey, Battle Royale's popular, we can do that instead of doing real work making the game actually good?
No. That seems to be about it. Oh
The
boy.
entire thing was shameful and disgusting, and pretty much everything that you would hope to see from Todd Howard.
Yep.
It's just a general embarrassment from top to bottom.
I could be convinced to try out it again once the Wastelanders expansion hits if I'm bored and I've got nothing. Oh, wait, hang on. It comes out September. Never mind. Iceborne's happening.
Yeah, like that renders a lot. Like the things that they are releasing cannot compete with anything else on the market. That's the real problem.
That's right.
You need to be a rabid fan of Fallout.
There's a
person
handful of those around, but a lot of them have been scared away by 76.
I know there are some people that for whatever reason they genuinely like Fallout 76, and I don't begrudge them that. That maybe that's there are I see a lot of people play games that I don't understand why anybody ever would.
Yeah,
but they're perfectly entitled to do that. But
Todd actually did say something right, and that Fallout 76 has a really good community behind it.
It needs to. Because it would never survive otherwise.
No, it wouldn't. So a lot of the people who are still playing, all the trolls and the really toxic, nasty players are all gone. So the people who genuinely love the game are the ones who are still left.
Yeah, the only people who are left are the people who really, really want it to be good. The people who are there for a lark, there's no way you would hang around because you're not getting your lark.
No, you're not getting
the game is larkless. So, yeah, it's going to, through the worst possible circumstances, people pull together.
Yes.
That's what's going on here. So, this isn't anything. This is like how every single time that they talk about Elder Scrolls, Bethesda takes credit for the modding.
I wish they'd stop that.
This is them taking credit for the community. They're acting like, oh, we made a game so great that it spawned this incredible community. No, you made a game so bad that everybody who's still there has Stockholm Syndrome.
We feel sorry for that. Well, I don't feel sorry for those people. I'm glad they've actually found their happiness in this game. But I couldn't. I played probably more of it than I should have, and it was just no. What really annoys me is this constant focus on PvE. PvP. Nobody.
Well, I mean,
in that game.
That's like the MMO industry circa 2009.
Yes.
Like we've seen this before. It's just the Bethesda behind the times, like they are with everything.
Yep. Moving on then. Otherwise, we're going to get too bogged down. Elder Scrolls Blades. It's coming out on the Switch, which is good because it means people might actually be able to play it. This game will not work on any phone or tablet that seems to be older than maybe 12 to 18 months.
It's also a game where you need to pay micropayments in order to make it function.
Yes, it does that.
This game is categorically a work of evil. It's like gacha tier evil. It doesn't. It's not quite so. It's not quite so play on the addictive personality thing, because like if we're taking gacha as a standard of evil, like in FGO, you don't actually need to use the gacha to play the game.
Yeah.
In Blades, like, well, you don't need to put money into it, but if you don't, your experience is going to be incredibly bad.
Yeah.
Like horrible.
Horribly bad.
You can't develop a perverse affection for a psychopathic snake girl the way that I did. because the game won't let you play it.
Oh dear. That's worrying when you're talking about your waifus as a good thing. So
well, I'm not saying that it's a good thing necessarily, so much as like there is a venue through which the game continues to operate even at the worst of times.
Yeah.
Whereas that's not really true for Blades. Blades is aimed at forcing you into pouring money down their gullet.
Yep. So this thing coming out on the Switch, you might think that Nintendo might temper them. Yeah, I doubt it.
No.
It's going to be free for launch on the Switch. So I expect the microtransactions to be there and ready for your money.
I have a question.
Okay.
Is Skyrim on the Switch?
Yes.
Then why play Blades?
That's a very excellent question. I see no reason to play Blades, and you can play Skyrim. In fact, play
Yeah, like,
Skyrim on the PC and mod it to all hell.
well, the thing is, you can't carry your PC around with you, but you can carry your Switch around with you.
That
So
you can.
what I'm saying is that if what you really want to do is play Elder Scrolls on a portable device,
Play Skyrim.
you can already do that.
Yeah.
They made that version of Skyrim to go with all the other versions of Skyrim.
Yep.
It's a thing.
It is a thing.
So I don't really understand what they're going for here. Like, the only reason that they would do this is because it's a terrifying money engine, and on the Switch, more children will get exposed to the terrifying money engine.
Yeah, but
Like
the
that-
Switch thankfully has very good parental controls.
Yeah, but the thing with parental controls is the parents need to know to use them. That's always been the problem.
That's always been the problem.
Which
Nintendo
is why,
put together that really cute animation, but yeah.
Like the Penny Arcade guys have been working with the ESRB on an advertising campaign about just that, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because that they recognize, like most gamers do, that the whole reason why people think that gaming is like this evil predatory creature that's trying to kill your children and kill your wallet is that there's no awareness, generally speaking, from the parents of kids who are being preyed upon, that they need not be preyed upon.
Yeah. And just a little bit of education can save a lot of grief later on.
Yeah. Provided the parents are actually engaged with what their children are doing, and they should, because that's part of parenting.
Yes.
A lot of these problems can be ameliorated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I think that the putting Blades on the Switch is essentially just fishing.
Pretty much.
For whales. Fishing for like the odd person who just, like, the thing you got to keep in mind is that the Switch is just a tablet. There's nothing more to its architecture than that. It's an underpowered tablet with novel controllers with accelerometers in them.
Yes.
That's all there is there. Like, most high-end tablets are more powerful than a Switch. The Switch is a really gutless console. It's what's really been holding back its development, is that you've got a minimal amount of power. But as a result, ultimately, it doesn't cost them much to put it on the system. And ultimately, I think that the objective is just to dangle that hook out there and see who bites.
Yep. And see how
it's not because they think that this is actually, a good addition to their stable. It's not because they think that, there's a niche on that platform that we can exploit in order to get more people into Elder Scrolls. It's none of that. This is just a hook. It's a hook for an evil gacha game type of thing.
Moving on to something we can actually be tentatively positive about. Ghostwire Tokyo.
I found this to be one of the very few things that passingly caught my interest in the E3 as a whole.
Yes.
Like, it didn't hype me by any stretch of the imagination, but at least it looked interesting.
It does. So it's, everyone in Tokyo apparently just vanishes and leaves their clothes behind. There is supernatural hinkiness going on. Go figure it out.
I get it helped that the presenter was sort of charming for a change.
Yeah. His accent was a bit thick and it made him really hard to understand.
Yeah, like he was trying hard. Like it's I can at least pretend that these presenters are not lying to me in this case.
That's because Todd Howard wasn't on stage.
But it's not survival horror. It's just regular horror. So that's something, because I don't like survival horror because I don't like scarcity. Scarcity is just annoying in my book. I don't find it entertaining.
Yep.
So I'm interested in it because it looks like they're doing something that isn't the same as everything else, and I didn't see any zombies.
Yes.
Which is what I'm primarily concerned about avoiding, is more zombies.
So yeah,
if we can get rid of some of the zombies, then we might have a deal.
Can we just do a 5-year gap where nobody makes anything with zombies or zombie-esque in it?
It's
robot zombies.
It's a cultural phenomenon. I've talked about it before. It depends on the current prevailing cultural attitudes, whether zombies or vampires are the thing that they make a million games or stories or novels or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's we don't know anything about it. Don't know what sort of game it is. Don't know anything about it. But it's not the same as everything else. So
Hmm.
yeah, I at least caught my interest in a passing sense. It's
Something a little bit different.
not really enough to make me excited because there's no information. But you
Yep.
know, they presented an idea that's at least intriguing enough to catch my attention, which is more than anybody else bothered to do.
Yes. All right, we might have to speed up just a little bit. Moving on, and this is probably something we can touch on and just leave. Elder Scrolls Online, they just put out their new expansion. It has dragons in it.
Yeah, and that's pretty much all that they had to say about it as well. It's not just us skipping content.
Yeah, that's pretty much all there is. If you want to play Elder Scrolls Online, you're probably already playing it.
Well, I mean, I would kind of like to poke at it, but I'm not playing it. And
Well,
the
that's
reason I'm not
because
playing it is because I still have to pay a hefty upfront fee, and I don't have that sort of time anyway.
yeah, time is the big killer here. Also,
Yeah,
necromancers.
I keep forgetting that what I previously thought was a hefty upfront fee is now just an annoying upfront fee because I could actually buy a video game if I wanted to play it.
You could,
But
and it goes on sale
yeah, but,
often enough. Well, the base
yeah,
edition
but
does.
no, I don't have time to indulge in a new MMO without having a really good reason to do so.
Yeah, sadly, if I'm going to put any time into an MMO at this point, it'll be Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, I think that's the same case for me until PSO2 comes out, then maybe.
All right, moving on. Let's crap on people's childhoods with Commander Keen.
I was so upset. So deeply upset. This is not Commander Keen. It doesn't look like Commander Keen. It doesn't sound like Commander Keen. It doesn't act like Commander Keen. The game has nothing in common with Commander Keen. In fact, the only thing that it has in common with Commander Keen is the name.
Mm-hmm. Like, if they'd
This
come
is
out and said, hey, we're doing this Saturday morning cartoon-inspired 2D platformer game. Hey, that'd be Commander Keen. But they're not doing that.
no, they're not. And laying aside the fact that it's a complete betrayal of the franchise, no matter what they try and say, it also doesn't look at all fun. It doesn't even look like it makes sense.
It's a mobile game where you use two characters to place booby traps, I think.
Yeah, I didn't know what you were doing there, other than they kept saying that, oh, you're saving the world or whatever.
Yeah, but that's just a hook.
Yeah, I don't know what they think they're accomplishing. I don't know what they want us to think they're accomplishing. The whole thing was just like, this was the interns project, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. And it looks like it's easily monetized out the butt.
Yeah. This is about the cruelest thing that they could do to fans of Commander Keen. Like, Commander Keen was my first PC game.
It was the first one I really got going on too, yeah. So I was actually kind of getting hyped. I saw it was Commander Keen, Saturday morning cartoon aesthetic. Great. Like, two playable characters. Okay, fine. Mobile. And it's dead.
Why couldn't they have just done a high-res remake of Keen 4?
Because the Dirtfish won't let you.
Everyone loved Keen 4.
Yeah, everyone loved Keen 4.
From what I saw, that one had the biggest mass appeal.
Mm-hmm.
The most people liked that one and were able to get into that one.
Nope, they got to crap on your franchise and ream you for cash.
So many. It doesn't even look cool.
No, it really doesn't.
Like even the Saturday morning aesthetic, like I can understand that's going to appeal for some people, but they didn't even do it well.
No, they didn't.
Like, it looks bland.
Very. They even named both their characters Billy too, because they're both.
Isn't their alleged father canonically named Billy?
Isn't there? I don't know. Is he?
Because this is supposed to be the kids
of the original Commander Keen.
Of the original Commander Keen, who wasn't he named Billy?
I can't honestly remember.
Are their fathers so vain that they would name both their son and their daughter after themselves?
Possibly. I'm gonna have to look this up now. Actually, what is his actual name?
I can't remember what his actual name was. Like, the stories of those old FOG games are always a bit,
a bit very extremely strange. Let me see. I don't think they actually. Oh yes, his name is Billy.
Right, so his entire family is called Billy.
Yes. So
That must annoy the mother in the house so much, unless she's also called
she's
Billy.
probably also called Billy, so it's fine.
Yeah, but when you call out for somebody, who do you get?
Everyone. It saves time.
I guess that's true.
Moving on then. Rage 2. They're putting out an expansion. It's Rage 2, but there's more of it.
Do people play Rage 2?
Apparently so. It's not overly awful. Why is that supposed to be not high praise when it's really not supposed to be?
Well, you say it's not overly awful, but it doesn't really look like it's any good either.
No, it
Like
doesn't.
the marketing seems to be a flop. Like it didn't seem to make very much progress.
It kind of ran directly into that Far Cry one as well. They're basically the same game.
I was under the impression that Rage is supposed to be sort of a bit sillier, sort of halfway between Borderlands and Far Cry in tone.
Yeah. The original wasn't so much. The original was actually quite bad. But the sequel's definitely taken a lighter tone. I mean, it's got mechs. Very silly mechs. So, yeah. I don't know. It's not a franchise I've really gotten into. Next is Wolfenstein Youngblood. They didn't offend anyone this time around.
Well,
They just shot Nazis.
It still created a huge debacle.
Because they weren't supporting Nazis this time?
No, because they completely botched up the post-presentation interviews. And one of their how do I structure this? They said to one of the video game sites that the weapons in the game would be upgradable by microtransactions.
Why?
And whether or not that was true, it's no longer true.
Good.
Because they claimed that it was never true. And so the journalist posted a retraction saying, "Oh, well, they must have misheard our question or something because the person they were interviewing was a senior developer, so they should know.
They should definitely know."
So they posted a retraction saying, "Oh, well, they must have misheard our question then because we definitely heard him say that." And because the internet was, mid-rage.
Yeah.
And they saw that there was a problem. The problem is that they decided to their Wolfenstein account basically posted on Twitter, posts stuff in character.
Yes.
That's their marketing thing. And they said the Reich has been spreading rumors and misinformation about our microtransaction. So they then they decided to refer to games journalists broadly, because this is all like the YouTube games pundits and all the journalism outlets. They reported on this because it was from a reputable source. It was from an interview with the developer.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reaction of the developer was to just call them all the Reich. It was in character and they didn't mean anything by it, but that is just such a PR fumble.
They were trying to be a little bit tongue-in-cheek and got it horribly, horribly wrong.
So anybody who says this is the Reich, they're spreading misinformation. Like, no.
I could imagine the shrill re of it all. Actually, anything that annoys games journalists, though, is fine by me.
Well, the thing is that it's not just games journalists, because everybody was talking about it.
Yeah, even
because it was from a reputable source. Like, yes. The research was done by whoever did this interview. They went and they asked the senior developer. At any rate, the actual situation is that the weapon upgrades referred to are just cosmetic.
Okay. So I'd still rather not that, but yeah.
Yeah, well, because that's dumb. It just means that it can't be given as a reward for in-game accomplishment. Which is where it's supposed to be.
It's a pointless little system.
But yeah, so it's strange. It was a strange debacle, but it's now pretty much overshadowed any hype that they would have gotten out of it from E3.
Yeah,
because they fumbled it so badly.
They done goofed.
Yeah, that's the state of play on Wolfenstein. I'm sure that it will still be a disgusting pro-communist propaganda piece like the last one because they think that was a great idea. But
yeah, you'd think they'd have learned their lesson from that. No, I doubt it.
the woke don't learn lessons.
No.
It's part of their shtick.
It's their thing.
Yeah, it's there's not. They didn't really show anything new about it or anything. They didn't. I feel that they didn't even successfully hype it.
Nah,
It didn't seem like they had given anybody reason to be excited about the game. It was just reminding everybody that the project existed, essentially.
The most memorable thing about it was, for me, was it was presented by Colonel Clank. Seriously, that guy had the most cartoonishly evil German accent.
Hogan's Heroes was great.
It was. I can't get good TV anymore. Next game, Deathloop. It's another time loop one. This time it's two assassins on an island, and they kill each other and recommence the loop.
This is the sort of thing that it has to trade on more detail than they're giving us because they didn't give us very much.
I'm going to predict the ending here. The key to getting out of the time loop is not to kill each other. They won't do it.
It depends on how much edge they want.
But they're going to end up in romance, and it's going to be a happy ending, and everyone's going to get off the island before it explodes.
No, it's going to have an ending like Lost.
Smoke monster and confusion.
They didn't even investigate the smoke monster in the ending.
No, it was just kind of there.
Lost
made no sense.
I didn't watch Lost, but the impression I got from it was that they didn't really have any idea where they were going, and they made a totally arbitrary ending that made no sense, and everybody was unhappy.
Pretty much.
That's what I'm expecting here.
Okay.
Because I don't trust games writers to do anything high concept anymore.
Nope. No.
Mass Effect killed my faith.
Final game for Bethesda is Doom Eternal. It's Doom Eternal.
I haven't played the new Doom yet, but it looked cool, and I would like to play it at some point in the future.
It looks fast. It's shooty bangs. It's basically Doom. You've got dimension hopping. You've got a grappling hook. But what really worries me is that they've announced their collector's edition with this really detailed Doom guy helmet.
How detailed is it going to be by the time it ends up in people's hands?
It's probably going to be a lump of wax.
Because
it's going plastic was in short supply.
Bag all over again. This is Bethesda we're talking about. But the main thing I'm worried about here is my concern rests with Doom is successful because Doom is Doom, and I'm pretty sure that the way you kill Doom is the same way that Doom got killed last time, which is to overcomplicate it, to add gimmick upon gimmick upon gimmick until it's no longer Doom and it loses the part that people actually liked about it. That's the thing that they have to be wary of. And they're introducing interesting new game modes and asymmetrical play, and all of that is cool. It's also not Doom. And I'm not saying it has to not be in there, but I'm just saying they need to remember who they are.
Yeah, just stay on task. If they stay on task and stay as Doom, then all shall be well.
Yeah, it's okay for them to do all of this extra weird stuff, but they need to make sure that they don't lose any Doom while they're in it.
I'm just glad that the Bethesda Softworks and the id side of things seem to be nice and separate.
I mean, I don't expect a huge amount of success. Like, I don't expect a roaring runaway success from their asymmetric gameplay multiplayer mode, where you've got a couple of people that can play as demons and a guy that plays as the Doom Slayer, and they duke it out. Like, I mean, cool idea. I like it. I've loved asymmetrical gameplay since AVP, but don't put all your development time into that, even if it is a roaring success, because then you will stop being Doom.
Yeah.
And it guarantees that your next game will be bad.
So don't stop being Doom. Just make Doom. Alright, next game with really good ideas, but it's really rolled in crap, and we're moving over to Ubisoft for this one. Watch Dogs.
Ubi. Watch Dogs.
What is
explicitly political commentary. They discuss the game. Explicitly, they say that this is the post-Brexit Britain.
Yeah, this is not how post-Brexit Britain is going to work. At all. So
So the setting is basically the city of London in the not terribly too distant future after Brexit. They strategically don't specify which direction Brexit went, so that
that's
they can't be accused of making it a polemic. But basically the idea here is that a corporation team has taken over basically all of policing and policy in London,
hmm
and they are evil because of reasons,
because they have
and
guns and scary
yeah, because
masks.
they have guns. So you have to basically form the resistance to throw them out. Now, this is one of those weird situations where, I mean, I'm sure the game will go into greater detail because, frankly, it's their job to.
Yes.
But this is one of those situations, sort of like DMC Devil May Cry, so horrible they named it twice, where you are repeatedly assured of the grave evils committed by your adversary, but you don't ever see them doing any.
Yeah.
They just seem like a corporation going about being sort of, low level scummy corporation.
In the trailer,
As
you
a,
see these guys. Well, okay, they're doing a bit of human trafficking actually after you start
you,
digging
you
into
no,
things. But
you see people doing human trafficking. You don't know
yes,
necessarily that this is an outgrowth of the state.
that's right. You actually see the state police bullying a hacker because he's a hacker
Who's a criminal?
who's a criminal.
Hackers are criminals. Has everybody forgotten this?
So yeah,
Like mainly in the trailer material, I saw the police thugging it up on people who deserved it. So I'm not really sure why they're bad.
they're a bit heavy-handed, maybe, but these people seem to deserve it. They were criminals. So the whole gimmick with this game is you've got a permanent system. You play as a character until they die, or you can switch between others, and then once they're dead, they're gone. You recruit all these other characters, all these people from all over the world, all over London, which is a neat mechanic, but it's going to cause chaos with the story.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to structure it to make it all work. I'm interested to see. Like, it's an interesting experiment, certainly. I just don't know how they're going to do it. Like, I can't see that from where I stand.
The
It's
idea of
curious.
playing through a game like this with a team made up entirely of senior citizens is incredibly appealing. Just for how completely stupid it is.
Yeah.
And they showed this old lady getting out and doing all the classic action game stuff, and it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I think everybody enjoyed that.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think that's the part that people will actually remember about this.
Yeah. So
It was. Sargon did see it as a little bit of a commentary because he watched it blind on a video as content, basically, because everybody was nagging him to watch it, and since he's coming off of his unsuccessful political campaign, he's busy with things, so didn't have time to follow E3. But he thought it was a bit on the nose that Hail Britannia only plays in the background when it's old people on screen.
Yes.
As though being British is something that's exclusively the preserve of the old, and everybody else has to be, a hipster instead.
Hipster or a yob.
But yeah, I think that people like that. I think that the thing that most of these aggressive multiculturalist types in London miss is that the thing that people like about Britain is the British.
Yes.
And how British they are, and how funny that is to the rest of us who are not British.
And the thing people like about video games is when they're allowed to put their hair down and be silly on occasion as well. But it's Watch Dogs, and honestly, I'll say the same thing I've said about the last two Watch Dogs games. They're trying to be Grand Theft Auto instead of being Watch Dogs. Take the guns off people. Take the guns off the player. You'll have a much better game.
Nobody has a gun in London because it's illegal.
Because it's London, yes.
That's why they've got such a massive knife crime problem. It's because nobody's allowed to carry a gun.
Having a gun in public would cause a fuss. So it's not going. It's got some cool ideas, but again, it's going to be bad. So we'll move on. Ubisoft this year decided they were going to flog the corpse of Clive Barker again. We got Rainbow Six Siege. They're doing a new expansion. Though, what bugged me is they're doing a crossover with the comic/film franchise Statesman. They used characters, technology, the soundtrack from it, but they never actually said Statesman on the screen.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a very British spy series, I guess you'd call it now. It's a bit silly, but everyone is incredibly polite. Or at least the aside from the main character, they're very polite, very British about how they go about things. And it's other than that, it's your typical spy stuff, so gadgets and ridiculousness like that, and moustaches, because Britain. So I'm not sure what's going on there. That's really all there is to say about it. That's just they're doing this new event and a crossover.
I see.
Yeah, Ubi's going also, aside from flogging Clive Barker's corpse, although I would not say no seeing people flog Clive Palmer's corpse, is crossovers. So you've got Brawlhalla, which apparently Ubisoft owns, which I never knew, which is, it's a free-to-play Smash Brothers type dealy.
With characters you don't care about, as opposed to ones you love.
Exactly. So they've put in Adventure Time characters. Apparently Rayman's in there as well. It's been a long time since I looked at it.
I have never seen an episode of Adventure Time, and the snippets I've seen of it leave me completely bewildered as to why anybody would think it was cool.
It's a very, very strange series, yes. Some episodes are completely asinine and pointless, and then occasionally it'll just take a right turn into Horror Town because reasons.
Does it know it's doing that?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I'm never sure with some of these shows.
They knew exactly what they're doing when they were doing that. That's gotta frighten some children. So yeah, that's that. You got an Adventure Time crossover, a few new characters for that game. Moving on, Breakpoint. It's Clive Barker again, and it's incredibly long speeches, apparently.
Who's Clive Barker? I mean, I don't know who this guy is you keep mentioning.
He's the guy who kind of coined a lot of the fiction that all these shooting games.
I thought that these were all Tom Clancy games.
Sorry, Clive Barker does horror. What am I thinking? Tom Clancy. Doy. Gotta get the right person. So yeah, Tom Clancy's corpse, not Clive Palmer's corpse. Yeah.
You're not having a lot of luck with this today.
No, maybe I just want to see Clive Palmer go away. So yeah, Tom Clancy's corpse is being dragged out. So yeah, we got Breakpoint, which is another Ghost Recon game. Why on earth though did the guy presenting it bring a dog on the stage? It was just there,
but not for Watch Dogs.
But not for Watch Dogs. There's no dogs for Watch Dogs. But yeah, he brought a dog on stage.
It's called Watch Dogs.
But there's no dogs in it. They lied to us.
You can't name a game after dogs and then put no dogs in it.
Dogs improve every game. This is a statement of fact. So yeah, suddenly there was a dog on stage for reasons. I have no idea what was going on. And they'd also, for Breakpoint, they're doing a crossover with Terminator. Because reasons.
Yeah, I didn't understand what that was in aid of, and they just sort of flashed a Terminator up on the screen, and then that was it.
Yep.
That was all.
That was it.
There was nothing else.
Next game is Elite Squad. It's Tom Clancy, except it's all of them. And it's on mobile, so it's, chest high walls in your pocket.
It's also free to play, so it's going to be monetized out the wazoo.
Yep.
But more importantly, there was no Splinter Cell game.
No. But
which is like the most asked for thing from the Tom Clancy franchise for like the last decade.
It has Splinter Cell characters in this, and you watch, they will be behind the paywall. Because that's just how these roll.
Oh dear.
Oh dear, oh dear. Next game, Just Dance. Drugs?
There's clowns all up on stage again.
Yeah, what is going on? There's very strange people gyrating on stage.
Why do they think that? Are they just trying to make this a thing? Like this is just going to be the thing that Ubisoft has at their press conference that other people don't have at their press conference, and spin that to just be a good thing because reasons. Is
I
that
think
where we're
so.
going?
They've been doing it with increasing grandeur every year.
It's just, oh.
Just stop.
I guess people must play Just Dance, but my understanding of Just Dance is that all of the people who play it are Twitch thoughts.
It does have its niche. There's people who trot it out for parties and things, but I don't know why we need a yearly release for something that is essentially the same and also drugs.
Because every year new quote songs unquote come out.
Unquote quote.
Well, I mean, I hesitate to call modern pop music song.
Yeah, I would
Music.
entirely agree with that.
So yeah, hence the quote marks. But
Rhythmic noise.
Yeah, I don't. Ugh.
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 Ugh. Just no. Moving on, we've got Rainbow Six Quarantine, which seems to be about dying in a laundromat.
It's just another Rainbow Six.
It's just another Rainbow Six.
Rainbow Six is their team franchise, right?
Yes.
Right, so it's just another spin on the same old thing, and I know that people love those.
Yeah, more power to you. And if you're going to die in the laundromat, at least put the change in the washing machine. Okay, Division 2, they're putting out an expansion for it. They seem to have really rebounded with Division 2. It kind of came out as a bit of a damp blop noise.
Not to mention that on top of all of that, it is their second attempt.
It is also their second attempt.
Because let's be real, if Division 1 had been successful, Division 2 wouldn't exist.
Correct. So, yeah, they've rebounded. They've got themselves a nice, steady player base and found their little niche. They've put out their next 3 bits of DLC in their episodes. The first one, apparently, you're going exploring the National Zoo in Kenley College. The second one, you explore the Pentagon. And the third one, you hunt a guy. One of these things is not like the other.
From all accounts, they've got a really strong community there that are all really enthusiastic about the game, and I'm glad to see that they are supporting those people. I mean, I can't speak to the quality of their new content, that their post-release content, but I mean, I haven't heard anybody overtly upset about it, so
more power to you. There is also a Division movie coming, which might be good, and it's also made by Netflix, which is not good.
Netflix.
So whatever good might come of it is going to be covered in woke and terrible.
Netflix. They're pretty much capable of ruining anything, is my current conclusion.
Yeah, they are.
It appears to be their super special skill.
Okay, moving on. We don't actually have a slide for this, but never mind. We've touched on it briefly. You've got UPay Plus, which is basically Ubisoft's subscription service. Same basic dealie. You pay $15 a month, you get access to their library of games.
That seems expensive to
Does
me.
a bit.
Because the $15 price point for the Xbox One was a version that included all of its content, like all of their existing Game Pass stuff, as well as the new stuff they were planning to bring in, and so forth. So $15 just for Ubisoft seems like that's a bit steep.
Well, they're claiming they've got over 100 games under this license, so I'm not sure where these other games are coming from.
But like 50 of those games are variations on Tom Clancy.
Yes, they are. That's probably actually what's making it up. But they are including new releases on it, so that's a thing. What's kind of weird is, and this is a running theme throughout the entirety of E3, is everyone just saying we're putting this on Stadia.
But why?
But why? Especially when you've got a subscription service and you're putting that on Stadia.
Starters,
Ugh.
Stadia doesn't exist yet.
No,
It's not a thing. Nobody's ever proven that it'll work.
because it won't.
So there's no reason to be excited about this whatsoever. Like, the only way it works is if they've got some kind of technology that is literally indistinguishable from magic.
Yes. It's Google Loon powered. Yeah. Oh, jeez. I have absolutely no faith in Stadia.
You would be a fool to.
I would be a fool if I did. Until they can actually put their money where their mouth is and have this service accessible by everyone at any time without causing, unnecessary disconnects or overburden on existing systems and household internet connections. No, it's not going to happen. Not with the numbers they've put up. All right. Next game is a very kind of weird one. Roller Champions.
Isn't it just like that car soccer game, only it's roller skating instead?
A lot of people have actually said that it's Rocket League on roller skates. It pretty much
I don't play.
is.
I don't play Rocket League, but I also didn't think that anybody had thought roller derby was cool for the last 40 years.
This smacks of a movie I saw once, which was basically this. It was a high violent roller derby cross ball game movie, and I can't for the life of me remember what it's called.
That sounds like a good thing.
People died. It was actually closer to Blood Bowl. So, yeah. So this looks like it's, high speed. You catch a ball, you roll around in a circle, you put it through the hoop, and you show everybody your DreamWorks eyebrow. That's it. That seems to be the game. Last game on the Ubi docket is Gods and Monsters. Notably by the Assassin's Creed team. Which they seem very proud of announcing.
Yeah, I don't. There's a lot of people super excited about this, and I'm not sure I understand why. Like, are they seeing something that I can't see? Is there an invisible band of data here? Because I don't understand.
I don't know.
Genuinely don't understand what they're so excited about. As far as I can tell, no game exists.
All we really see is a warrior fighting some harpies. That's about it.
That's not a game.
No, it's not a game.
Sorry, it's not.
That's a teaser. Like, if they'd come out and said they're applying the Assassin's Creed formula to mythology, that could be cool.
I think that the reason that they are saying all of this stuff about the Assassin's Creed team, I think, is because they don't have anything. There's nothing else there's nothing else to say.
No, that's it.
Because the game exists. This is their whole thing. This is all they've got.
Looking at the character model of their warrior and, kind of the harpies, I could be forgiven if I said this was Titan Quest. So, yeah, I don't know. It could be anything. Right, so Ubisoft. Not quite as disappointing as some of the others, but it's Tom Clancy. It's Tom Clancy all the way through.
Yeah, It's always Tom Clancy. I don't have much to say about Tom Clancy.
I don't care too much for those games. Honestly, it's all just, tactical, shoot, gun, yell at people type dealies. Okay, next we have the Squeenix.
Yeah, Squeenix.
As soon as I can find the right bit for it. There it is. Squeenix. There we are. And they came out the gate with the thing that really everybody was there for, and that was the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Goodness knows they've been keeping people waiting long enough.
Yep. And guess what? This time you get to see Tifa.
Just a little bit.
Just a bit of
a little
Tifa.
bit.
Though apparently there was some sort of outcry over her character design, or maybe there was outcry because people couldn't have outcry about character design. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't really been following that particular debacle.
I saw it and it just seemed like the dumbest thing going, so I quickly tuned it out. So yeah, they've shown off the combat in action. It seems pretty fluid. You mash square until you fill up your ATP button, and then you get to use a skill, and repeat.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the best move. Like, a lot of people have been saying that they would have preferred if they'd kept everything intact about the old mechanics and just upgraded the graphics, but I'm not quite sure that they actually would be happy with that.
I don't think they
I
would, honestly.
I think that that old structure is a bit long in the tooth now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure that it's something that would work. It might just look uncanny if you put fancy graphics on top of it.
Yeah, so this gives you kind of some options, like you can mash your buttons and attack, and then you can dodge and switch characters in your downtimes when you're just, fiddling around and just doing basic attacks. And then when it's time to actually use a bigger ability, the game pauses. And you can, go through your menus and think about what you're doing that way. So it's kind of a blending between, action and the classic system.
Yeah, I think it looks all right. I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. I think that there could be things wrong with it. I think that if they wanted to go for more classic, they should have gone for a system like Final Fantasy 13, where it's classic, but it's more dynamic than normal, but it's still a turn-based structure and that sort of thing. Like, I think that they could have gotten away with that, but I don't abide by the way of thinking that action is definitely always better any more than that. Oh, it would have been better if it had just been the same as ever. I think you could work with either of them. But what bothers me ultimately about this is how little that they were able to show.
Yeah,
and I know you don't want to show all the cards in your hand right off the bat, because you need people to have something to play. But it seemed like they were really, still clinging to the exact same sequence in the Mako reactor that they always do.
Yeah, they didn't really change that very much.
I'm not sure that that's not just them wanting to protect the hype factor for use later, which from a marketing perspective might be wise for them to play their cards close to their chest so that they can increasingly build hype as time wears on. That may or may not be the better way to go. But yeah, it's sort of hard to say if they're going to be able to, for once keep their development target date and actually release a product. I will be pleasantly surprised if it comes out on time. I'll be even more pleasantly surprised if it's actually good. There's been a lot of complaint that what they have been saying sounds a lot like, well, they're just going to change the story however they see fit.
That's in itself isn't necessarily a bad thing, because 7 has a lot of rough edges on the story and a lot of gaps and holes.
It's true, but they didn't set any limits. So
yeah, I would have rather they come out and said we're going to file off the needless bits of the story and streamline it. Maybe not streamline. That'll get people up in arms as well.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It seems the thing is that they keep saying things of the kind that go, these stories out of date for the modern age, sort of type of thinking.
Yeah, that's got people worried.
That can legitimately mean anything that you want it to.
Yeah. But yeah, everything else, it looks good. The soundtrack is actually really nice. They've done a great job there.
Most of what they showed of the soundtrack sounds to me exactly like the Advent Children soundtrack.
It does a bit, yeah.
Which is not a bad thing. The Advent Children soundtrack is actually great compared to the movie, especially.
Yep. Voice acting's pretty much on point. Cloud seems to actually have a personality now.
Is it still going to be the NSYNC guy doing Sephiroth?
I don't know, but I suspect so. Yes.
I always found that to be a little bit amusing. Like, cause that's really playing against time. I guess they're both pretty boys.
They are both pretty boys.
But yeah.
Okay.
that I'm kind of tentatively looking forward to it, even though it's not my favorite Final Fantasy. It's still something that I think could be good. It could be good if they don't ruin it.
Don't ruin it, and it'll be great. So this is also only chapter 1, which apparently goes up to the end of the Midgard chapter, which is still a hefty, hefty chunk of meat.
Yeah, that's decent. Decent. It's not everything I'd hope for, but it's also bigger than most games.
Yeah. All right. Next is a franchise that still utterly baffles me. It's Life is Strange 2, which seems like teenager is angsty and has telekinesis because reasons.
Something about those games just makes me fill up with hatred. I'm
Just
not quite
unspecific
sure
hatred?
why. Yes, it's a non-specific rage, and I'm not quite sure why. Well, something about them just strikes me as, I don't know. I'm not even sure what it is, but Life is Strange games, something about them seems traitorous to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like they're not real games, or they're not games made for gamers, or something like that. I mean, not everything has to be made for me. I'm perfectly content with that. But this doesn't even seem like a video game. This seems like something that the whatchamacallit guy would do. The two human, not two human guy. The
Too
guy who
human.
did the Detroit
Oh,
Beyond Human game would
David
do.
Lloyd.
Yeah, it's like that, except if he was also a bleeding heart
Some sort
and a
of
hipster.
yeah. It's
With
teen drama from what I can gather this series, and that repels me honestly. Is that
yeah.
sort of nauseating teen drama type deal, but also because telekinesis and reasons. I have no idea where
Also,
that comes from.
the critical edifice worships this franchise,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
automatically predisposes me to dislike it.
yeah. So that's enough of that. Moving on. It's a blast from my childhood, actually. It's Crystal Chronicles.
Crystal Chronicles is one of the most talked up Final Fantasy products that I have ever been exposed to, and I have never touched it.
It is a great game with one of the single most infuriating core mechanics you can imagine. So it's all fun, hacky, slashy, kind of action RPG thing, except you have to tote around this stupid chalice. Otherwise, you die.
Like Yoda.
Like Yoda. So if you're playing single player, you can just tell a Moogle to carry the chalice, and it's no big drama. Except there's a whole chunks of levels you can't access because you need multiple players to get into them. If you're not playing single player, you've got friends to actually play the game with you. One of you must carry the chalice, and there will inevitably be an argument about who has to carry the chalice.
I don't want to carry this stupid cup.
The amount of times when we were playing it on the GameCube with our Game Boy Advances, and we go, hey, there's a puzzle over there. We'd both charge off to do the puzzle. We'd leave the chalice behind and die in the mist. And then spend the rest of the afternoon arguing. So yeah, good times, especially if you want to start an argument.
Sounds like Mario Party.
It does, doesn't it? But other than that, it's cute and it's charming and it sits at a good level of difficulty. At least it did in those days. So yeah, it's nice to see it come back. It is coming on mobile though, so be aware. It's also on the Switch and PS4.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm sort of interested in it in the sense that everybody else seemed to be interested in it years ago, and I had no access to that world.
Yeah,
I didn't understand what it was that people were so enthusiastic about, or whether I should be enthusiastic about it, whether it should have been a system seller for me, or what.
It got a lot of uptalk because it did a very unique thing where you could plug your Game Boy Advance into it and into your GameCube, and that was how each player used their controls. So each player had their stats and I believe a minimap on the screen of the Game Boy Advance, but everything else was up on the main screen, which is a really cool mechanic at the time. Nowadays, they put it on a mobile phone and charge you $5 for it.
Ugh.
Next game is Last Remnant Remake, I believe.
Last Remnant it seemed to me to be a JRPG that was just idiosyncratic enough that it couldn't take off.
Mm-hmm.
It was contemporary with, what was it called? Lost Odyssey, maybe it was its name? No, that could be something else. At any rate, there was the guy that made Final Fantasy made a Final Fantasy that wasn't called Final Fantasy for the Xbox 360, because the Xbox 360 back in the day was chronically starved for JRPGs. It had
Yeah.
no JRPG developers on board. And so this guy was the one who did it. And Last Remnant was another one, contemporary with that one, that was made at the same time. But the Lost Odyssey one, if that's what it was actually called, I don't even remember, was very, very, very orthodox. And Last Remnant was very unorthodox by comparison. It was how do I? It's sort of like it wasn't a strategy RPG, but it felt like it sometimes.
Okay.
I'm not really sure how to describe it because I haven't played another JRPG that has quite the same sort of system.
Mm.
But I mean, if anybody's interested, it's usually super cheap on Steam sale,
Neat.
so you can get the original version there.
Or you can wait for the freshly painted up version to come along.
Well, I mean, if you want to try before you buy,
Yeah.
because to buy it on Steam will cost you like $5, whereas to buy the fancy new one might cost you a lot more than that.
I know I'm going to be... This is out of context, but I'm still going to sit here and just wait for my Legendary Dragoon remake.
Yeah, well,
I'll be waiting a while.
Be waiting. There's no Legend of the Gaia one either.
I know. So. I'm annoyed at Legend of Dragoon, actually, because I had a friend who borrowed Disc 3 and never returned it. So I never actually got to see the end of it. And I am super salty after all these years.
That's a dick move.
I know, right? Next game, Dragon Quest Builders 2. It's Toriyama FaceTime.
Does it have to be? My goodness.
Yeah, we can probably move on.
Yeah, I didn't understand anything I saw in that presentation, to be honest. Like builders? What? I don't get it.
It's Dragon Quest Builders, but another one. It's a
well, I didn't know anything about Dragon Quest Builders to begin with. I didn't know it existed.
Yeah, it's basically Minecraft wearing a Dragon Quest hat. But it does have a storyline going through it, so there's something at least there to keep you on track.
I wonder if people would stop buying Dragon Quest games if they got a different character designer.
I think they would. I honestly do. Because they say it's not Dragon Quest. Speaking of something that is Dragon Quest...
Everybody has to have the same face in order for it to be Dragon Quest.
Yes. So, speaking of Dragon Quest, this is Dragon Quest XI, the Super Ultra Mega Deluxe Edition.
What number are we up to now?
Probably about 7 or 8.
No. I mean, what is the number of the most current Dragon Quest game?
11. I was just thinking of deluxe editions for 11 alone.
No, is 11 the newest one? That's what I'm asking.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Okay, because I don't know. There's so many of them.
But they've re-released 11 maybe 4 or 5 times over the last couple of years.
Right.
So yeah, this is the Ultra Mega Deluxe version with new content, and apparently you can hop back in time and go to previous Dragon Quest worlds. Reasons why? No idea. So I wanted to play Dragon Quest XI, but once after they released maybe the first 2 deluxe editions or whatever they were doing, I just said I'm going to put this aside until they've done. They're having a Capcom moment here. Because it looks good, like it's got an interesting story hook. Your character is the chosen one and is quickly identified as the chosen one, and the king says, "Nope, you're going to cause trouble. Into the dungeon with you. We don't want any of your chosen one cooties around here." So yeah, there's not much more to say about it. It's Dragon Quest. Next game, Circuit Superstars. Something that hasn't been done for a while, a top-down racer.
Yeah, it hasn't been done for a while, but I wonder if there's a reason for that.
That's because the perfect top-down racer has already been made. Pickle?
What I'm wondering is if did the market not prefer the other type of racer? That's why people stopped making top-down racers.
Yeah, we've had a couple attempts. Like we had that Micro Machines one on the PS4 a while ago, which they somehow managed to drag Brian Blessed into, and it was an abomination. Not necessarily because of
What
the gameplay,
Brian Blessed or the game?
the game. Brian Blessed tried. He tried to make it better, but the gameplay was abominable, and it was up to the eyeballs in microtransactions. It was just an absolute atrocity.
As opposed to ham as a prop.
It should have been filled with delicious Brian Blessed flavored ham. But we've already got the PS1 version of Micro Machines, which is probably the best top-down racer ever made. Not judging. This could be good though. It's you just can't really tell this sort of thing from a trailer. It's the really sort of thing you actually have to try.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't see the appeal. Like, I have difficulty seeing the appeal of races generally speaking, and this just seems like an even tougher road to hoe, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay, next game is Battalion 1944. It is 1 metric unit first-person shooter.
Ugh.
Is it World War One? I believe it would be at that time. So
what? 1942?
No, 1944 would be World
1944.
Crap,
I didn't hear what you were saying.
Yeah. So it's shooting, and it's brown. What else is there?
Yeah.
It's probably Counter-Strike.
Brownness and shooting?
Yeah. Yeah. It looks like Counter-Strike, honestly. So, yeah, that was boring. Move on. Kingdom Hearts 3 is doing an expansion. I have no idea what's going on here.
Implying that you did for any of the other parts.
That's an excellent point. It looks like there's a whole bunch of people just flying around, and from the trailer, I actually thought they were going to give it the Disgaea treatment. But you need attachment to the characters to do that properly.
I don't know. I just, until I make a project of getting into Kingdom Hearts as a franchise again,
it is definitely a project.
There's not any way for me to comprehend anything that is Kingdom Hearts themed that comes to exist. There's no in for me there. It's too confusing.
Yeah. If you stick to the mainline games and ignore all the side stuff, you're still going to be confused. The first game on its own was just confusing.
Yeah, well, everybody's Xehanort and Zenmus and everything else.
Everybody is Xehanort. Except for Xehanort, who is Xehanort.
No, he's somebody else who is Xehanort.
He is Ansem, who is Xehanort. Okay, so there we go. More Kingdom Hearts. What's also good? More Final Fantasy 14. We got the release trailer.
Yep.
I thought Yoshida was actually just going to come out and start laughing on stage, though. He's kind of that troll.
Yeah, he got the warmest welcome, I think.
He did. At least Squeenix, compared to a lot of the other presses, they seem to have a genuine audience. Like the Bethesda one, there's a couple of people there who, as soon as there was a bit of a lull, would start screaming and carrying on. But Yoshida got a massive applause when he came out. And I want to play this game, but I don't have time.
Yeah, that's the thing, really. But they talked it up quite a bit, more than usual. They were claiming that it's basically going to be essentially the content of an entire new MMO.
Yeah, well, they did a bit of a reel the other day where they showed off all the new attack animations, and some of them are incredible. Some of them are going to make it absolutely impossible to see what you're doing, but they're really pretty.
Well, I'm used to that.
This is Final Fantasy after all.
Anybody who's tried to fight Behemoth in the overworld knows that already.
Yeah. Especially the Astrologian. It's like just sparkles. Sparkles. Uh, Also, the gunner now gets robots, which is kind of cool. Proper robots.
The gunner? I didn't realize it was a gunner.
The machinist. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
There is now a gunner, the gun breaker.
There's not. He uses a well. There's no gunner. There's the machinist who does machines, and there's the gunbreaker who does gunblade.
Gunblades, yeah.
There's no gunner.
There is no gunner. There is
machinist fills the role of a gunner, but there's no gunner because gunner is a class. Yeah, historically.
There's actually
but
a sign.
Does not exist. So
yeah, there is a sign and location for a gunner class in a class trainer in Limsa. But yeah, there is no gunner class available in the game yet. So yeah, they showed off a little bit about the dancer and the gunbreaker. Mostly they just showed the trailer, which is everybody getting edgy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ishtola gets edgy.
Well, Ishtola's been going down that road for a while now because I guess they feel ultimately like they need an NPC who can be a badass.
After she died and got better.
In order to really basically to market the game, you need to have some core character who's going to be the face.
Yeah, Ishtola's kind of taken that.
The generic warrior of light, you can't really use that because everybody's one looks different.
Yeah.
And in some cases, they have scary grins.
Yeah. And the other option would probably be Minfilia, except you've got to get her off the phone long enough.
Nobody likes Minfilia, though. And
is she dead or alive or currently dead again? I don't know.
She's yes and no. Both. Neither.
Dead question mark?
I think I don't know where you are in the story. That's the problem.
Heavenswood.
But and the way she goes through a lot of changes since she is apparently just the butt monkey of fate. Apparently,
yeah.
But I think as of Shadowbringers, she's a small child, as opposed to Dead or Alive or something in between.
Final Fantasy, folks. So yeah, next game is the Romancing Saga.
That one's been a long time coming.
Yeah. How long has it been since people have started asking for this to be ported to the West?
A large number of years.
Yeah. And again, it is one of the few games that has a genuine branching story. That's part of the reason why.
Probably also takes like 100 hours to play it.
Because you can't go through it just once.
No, probably takes 100 hours to play it once.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's what I'm concerned about here.
Yeah. So it's finally getting a port over to the West. We're going to have to hurry us up. We're nearly at the end of Square Enix, then we've got Nintendo, and we're done. Nintendo will probably just be able to skip through a whole lot of it because it's stuff we've either seen before or it's pretty quick to talk about. I'm going to entirely skip Final Fantasy Brave Exvius and Dying Light because we've already done that.
Outriders. Dying Light again? I've already forgotten.
It's zombies. You may now glaze over.
There's nothing to talk about with Outriders either.
Not really. It's
they cut to a special interview with the director or lead developer or whatever, and he told us nothing.
Yep. He told us a big old zero.
Why did you have that interview? You didn't convey any data.
Okay, well, skipping up, another game. It's kind of in the fantasy RPG, Oninaki, which seems like fantasy Persona?
I wasn't really sure. I didn't get a good read on it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's kind
there are a lot of people who are excited about it, but I don't know if they're excited about it for a good reason. I didn't get that impression.
Probably not. Yeah, so it's something reincarnation, possibly a dual world mechanic in there. I don't know. So for a game that's so close to launch, it's we don't know a whole lot about it, other than it's an ARPG. All right. Next was one that got a lot of hype, Final Fantasy 14 Remaster. Sorry, 18 Remaster. Damn it, 8. What? Final Fantasy 8 Remaster.
You have mangled every word. All of them.
I am terrible at this. So yeah,
So Final Fantasy VIII is my favorite one from a story writing perspective. So I'm glad to see it's getting a remaster. I would have preferred it would get like a remake, provided they could do it in less than 15 years. But since
yeah.
that's an impossibility, I will settle. So they're basically just redrawing the texture.
Pretty much, they're
for
just giving it a coat of paint and pushing it out the door again.
Yeah.
I'd
And I'll
say I
probably
know
buy it
much about
again.
the story, but honestly, most people just remember it for its card games.
I think the story is a better one. It's got I think that if you measure it against Final Fantasy VII, which is the most common thing it gets measured against,
Yep.
its flaws are worse than Final Fantasy's flaws, but its victories are greater than Final Fantasy's VII's victories. And
Yep.
I think that on balance it comes off better.
I'll agree with
But
that.
that's a
Yeah.
matter of opinion.
Yeah. That's one I can agree with. It's one I largely skipped though, so I can't really say too much about it because I went more or less 7 and then 10 and then back to 9.
Yeah. I skipped 9 because I couldn't buy it anywhere. There was
Yeah.
one place that sold it for $130 10 years after release.
Worth.
So no. The answer was no.
How about no? And the game that the chat would not shut up about is Avengers. It's the Marvel Avengers. They're doing a thing.
But it's not the MCU Avengers, it's their stunt doubles.
It's what they call
I saw
their interpretation of the Avengers.
I saw a meme of the Spaceballs scene.
Oh?
You idiots! These are not them! You've captured their stunt doubles!
Ah, that one. Classic movie. So yeah,
Because they're not the MCU Avengers.
they are not.
They aren't supposed to be the MCU Avengers. They're supposed to be, the interpretation, the Squeenix version
Yes.
of the Avengers.
It looks
So
kind of neat. Like, the story goes that the Avengers screw up massively, which would probably lead into Civil War, except Cap dies. Maybe. He won't stay dead. You know he won't stay dead.
no. It would be an Avengers game if he wasn't in it.
Exactly.
That's the problem. That's what kind of damages the suspense and the tension surrounding his death.
Yeah.
When you know that it's not going to stick, because it's number one, it's a comic, and number two,
It's Squeenix.
he needs to be there in order for the game to continue.
Yeah. So he's not going to stay dead. There is no suspension of belief there. Okay, what else for Squeenix? They did this little thing where they've got the a service where you can stream all their music if you so choose.
That seemed kind of weird, but okay, if there's demand, sure.
If I can stream the
It's a
Final
free
Fantasy
market.
14 soundtrack, yes please.
Yeah, if I don't have to use YouTube to do it anymore, I'll be fine with that.
That would
But,
be perfectly acceptable.
I'm fairly sure that I will still have to use YouTube because I'm not going to be able to access whatever crap it is that they're going to stick all this up on, because that seems to always be the way.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it for Squeenix. We have just one left to go, and that's Nintendo. We're going to ruin the big surprise they cracked out at the end of the show, by the way, at the start of the show, because we're dicks like that. We got 2 new Smash characters revealed, the Dragon Quest guy, all of them, and Banjo-Kazooie. And the internet lost their brains. So, yeah.
I didn't realize Banjo as a character was that popular.
He's been kind of at the top of a lot of the official and unofficial polls for additions into Smash for a long time.
I think that that's driven by the feeling that he should be there,
Yeah.
not because people actually like Banjo. Because realistically, he was just a generic vessel for a collectathon.
Pretty much, yeah. They actually tried to give him character later on and ruined it. Fun fact, actually, I had my sister when I was watching this in the room, and she never actually realized Kazooie was a girl.
Well, I didn't know. I thought Kazooie was a bird. Like I didn't.
Well,
know that
Kazooie is a bird, but
male or female.
Kazooie is a female bird, but you couldn't tell that because Kazooie also has an awful mouth on her.
Yeah, I guess it would have all been in text, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Back then.
And
So I didn't play
noises.
Banjo-Kazooie, so
Yeah, just text and goofy noises. All right, so yeah, that's those, and that's pretty much all there is for Smash. Next, moving on is Luigi's Mansion 3. It's in a hotel this time.
I guess it's cool for people who liked Luigi's Mansion 2 and Luigi's Mansion 1.
I loved Luigi's Mansion 1. Luigi's Mansion
I
2,
don't.
though, I found a disappointment.
I haven't played any of them, so
So, Luigi's Mansion 1 was really good because, yeah, okay, you had to explore the scene, the whole mansion, but what you had in there was a collection of very unique boss fights. Like, every boss in there looked unique. They had their own attacks, their own arena, all that stuff. It was great. Come around to the second one, and all of that is gone. You just tend to fight either a big version of a generic ghost or a collection of generic ghosts, and that's your boss fights. That's your lot. But from the little bits and pieces they showed, they might have brought the unique fights back. That being the case, then yeah, I'm all for it. Because I think they really dropped the ball with 2 on that score. Alright, next game is one that kind of came out of left field. Dark Crystal. So, namely, Dark Crystal.
I didn't
Age of
realize
Resistance
that
Tactics.
there was any franchise still there.
It's such an old franchise. And yet, yeah, here we are making a game about it, a tactical RPG about it. More the point. But they even seem to have dusted off the old puppets to make the original, to make the trailer. Well, I say dusted off. They look like they're covered in dust anyway, because you know, Dark Crystal.
I don't know anything about it. I'm not familiar with it in terms of having seen it.
It's a very dark and disturbing movie, but still kid friendly-ish.
Kid friendly for a different type of kid.
Yeah.
Like before kids had to be wrapped in bubble wrap.
It's from Jim Henson's dark side. You know, that and Labyrinth with David Bowie and his bulge.
David Bowie.
Okay, so yeah, that looks okay. It's just a tactical RPG though. There's nothing really to talk about on gameplay front there.
This is novel that it's such a strange franchise.
It
Brought
is.
back for it. But it does make me question, why are they reviving an old franchise instead of building their own franchise? Why can't you do something imaginative for once in your life?
Okay, next game is Link's Awakening. It's Link's Awakening, but it's shiny and cute.
Well, Link's Awakening seems to be one of the entries which is often touted to be the best in the franchise.
Yes. So seeing it get a fresh coat of paint is pretty welcome.
It was a pretty. I did play a little bit of it once upon a time, and it was pretty incredible. But yeah, I guess as much as any of them are deserving of a remake, then Link's Awakening is probably it.
Yeah. The art style, I think, raises a couple of eyebrows, but I can definitely see why they've gone that way. It kind of maintains that grid feel that the original had.
Yeah. Because it's like there's basically 2 types of Zelda. There's the top-down Zelda and then the over-the-shoulder.
Yeah. They do have a kind of a weird mechanic in there where you can build your own dungeons by just cobbling rooms together. I'm not
quite sure how that's going to have any draw.
Yeah.
Because I don't see how you can feel accomplished for doing that. Because you know what ultimately is going to happen is that somebody will determine the optimal dungeon to construct in order to accomplish whatever the aim of that whole process is.
Yep.
And that will be the only dungeon that you make. Because the other ones will take it.
Useless.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
There'll be an optimal cost benefit analysis for dungeon time.
2 rewards. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a thing. I guess it's a kind of a neat addition, but I just don't see really the point of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they just wanted to put something in there so that it wasn't just a straight up clone and new graphics.
Yeah. So that's all right. Next is this one, Trials of Mana. I don't know anything about the Mana series, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the Mana series either.
They,
Other than it's sort of like it's one of the ones that people have demanded and demanded and demanded.
yeah, it looks
One of those
okay.
scenarios where I was starting to think that they had just lost the code.
Yeah, so it looks okay. It looks like, kind of JRPG style fare. They've got the original trilogy just launched on the Switch as well, so if you want to catch up, you can go and do that. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say there. Another quick one is Witcher 3 on the Switch. That's it.
It looks awful. Deeply awful. Probably because it's running in 540p. Because that's all that silly tablet can do.
So that's it. It's just a port of The Witcher. If you haven't played The Witcher, why? If
you haven't played The Witcher, get it on a better console.
Yeah.
Or preferably on a PC.
You'll probably actually be able to pick it up on the PS4 or the PC or the Xbone for a lot cheaper.
And it will look better because it won't be at 540p.
Yeah. Unless you really want Bathtub Gerald to be portable. In which
unless,
case,
unless you want to play, unless you want to play with Bathtub Gerald in the bathtub, like, I can't think of any reasons why you would want to buy it on the Switch.
I don't know. Next,
it's not really a game that's conducive to play outside of binging, so
no, you've got to dedicate some time to it. It is a big, big game. Next, Fire Emblem Three Houses. It's Fire Emblem.
Next Fire Emblem. It's like Tales except with strategy.
Apparently, you're a professor at war school, I think.
Which is certainly a strange take.
Yes, it is.
Not the usual approach.
Instead of being some heir apparent or something that you usually are, or king in disguise, something like that.
Someone with amnesia.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's been a someone with amnesia one. I'm just guessing because I don't play those games, but
I think that was
amnesia seems like a good bet.
Yeah, one of them was anyway. Yeah, there was one. Okay, so that's that. It's just Fire Emblem. It's more Fire Emblem. Resident Evil. Yeah, it's on the Switch.
Which one?
They're doing the remake and releasing that, but they've also put out, I believe, 1 through 4 as well as standard editions. So yeah, if you want to play Resident Evil and you haven't played Resident Evil 4 yet, go to play Resident Evil 4.
The amount of effort they put into the advertisement was kind of bewildering to me. They could have just said, "Oh, we're releasing it on the Switch."
They did this whole sketch where a couple are playing Resident Evil in a spooky house. Because why would you do that?
I don't know. I don't think anybody does do that.
Nobody does that. If you're going to play a horror game, you go into your bedroom and lock the door. Turn off the lights. If you want to go that way.
That's not how I play horror games.
I leave all the lights people on. Around.
Yeah.
Full company. All right, next game is one that's going to get a lot of people excited. No More Heroes 3, properly this time.
Is it? Like, do we know that?
Yes.
Sure.
It's not that
They're not
spin-off thingy they did last year. And
no lies this time?
No lies this time. Although the trailer really did drill home one thing for me. Travis Touchdown needs to shut up.
Yeah, he really does.
Yes, Dante, you are not so.
I think that the people who write for Travis Touchdown think that Travis Touchdown is Deadpool.
Yeah.
That's my impression. I haven't played any of the No More Heroes games.
He is not. All right. Next one is this Contra thing. I'm not exactly sure why this is a thing.
Nor am I. I guess they just wanted to make another Contra.
I guess, or they just wanted to put Contra on a thing.
I guess that's also true.
So you've got this 4-player co-op shooter RPG thing where one player plays as a panda because reasons.
At least it's not dancing on stage this time.
That's a nice change of pace. But on the other hand, they've also seemed to have released every other Contra game onto the Switch as well, as a bundle.
Which is probably what Contra fans will actually buy and play.
Rather than whatever this is. Okay, next. Where am I on my list? Demon X Machina. It's a mecha game. It seems to hit just about every mecha trope you can imagine, but it's a mecha game.
Yeah. I mean, I like mecha games.
I do.
I kind of like for them to be mecha with a reason, if possible.
Preferably, yes. It's been a while since we've had a really good mecha game. I think really since the Armored Core series. At least I liked Armored Core.
I didn't play Armored Core. Like what I associate more recently with mechas is more or less Zone of the Enders.
Yeah, Zone of the Enders too. So, yeah, we'll see. It could be good. Not a whole lot really I want to say about it. They've done a lot of this, the same thing Microsoft really did, and that was show a trailer, and then that was it. They move on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's because remember when Microsoft didn't take that approach?
Yeah.
And what happened? Like, I think everybody's been a bit bushwhacked.
Yeah, instead of that painful slog we used to get from Microsoft.
Yeah, where it would just be TV spirits, dogs, TV spirits, dogs.
TV spirit, dog, wolf. Alright, next game. One that probably nobody saw coming. Panzer Dragoon. This is an old franchise.
I thought that they forgot Panzer Dragoon existed.
Yeah, so did I. It made an appearance in Sega Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed a few years ago. That is a real mouthful of a title.
Yeah, that's a mouthful of a name.
The Sonic racing games are actually quite good, but they've got really terrible names. So what gets me for this will probably scratch the Star Fox itch people have been having for a while.
As opposed to Star Fox doing it, which is what people actually want to happen.
Yes, because Star Fox has failed along every axis there.
Yeah, lately it's just not been doing its job. And
yeah.
Rather than, just making a normal Star Fox game, Nintendo has a crippling fear of money and success.
Exactly. We're going to skip Pokemon for now. Next game is Astral Chain. It's police personas, I think.
It's really weird, but I'm still sort of tentatively interested in it.
It's weird, but I am intrigued. Like, the combat looks actiony. You use your summon chain spirity thing to solve puzzles and move around. It looks like it could be fun.
Well, I mean, for me, what set it apart really was that it was a trailer which attempted to tease its story as well as its mechanics.
Yes,
which is something that a lot of these games don't seem to bother with.
Yeah, they just don't worry about it. They ignore the fact that story is a thing.
Most of the standouts to me this E3 were those ones which teased the story as much, if not more, than the mechanics to make you interested in the reason why you would play it, as opposed to just what the experience of playing it would be like.
Yep. All right, we're actually running out of time here, so last thing I suppose we really need to announce is the Breath of the Wild 2 being in development.
If that's what they call it.
Yeah, they'll call it something else eventually. That's it. That's all there is to that. It's a thing. It's happening.
Yeah. No other information available.
Yeah. It's got Link in it, it's got Zelda in it, and it seems to have Re-Dead. They're not zombies, they're Zelda, they're Re-Dead.
Well, Zelda appears to be dressed identically to Link for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure
probably
what's going on
because the selectable player character is what's going on.
Could be. I don't think people would say no. So yeah, that's E3. It was largely disappointing. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about it.
What I will say is that there was nothing that I was hyped for.
No.
Nothing.
There's a few things that have gotten my interest I'd like to know more about, but nothing that's really driven hype.
Yeah, all they needed to do to get me hype about Iceborne was to show me one trailer, but out of all of the trailers in E3, none of them managed to do that.
Yep. No. So, all right, well, let's wrap this up then. I guess we'll just jump straight into the get out of here spiel then. Email us topic a week. Anything from E3. I'm terrible at this. That caught your attention. That's it.
Yep. Go nuts.
Go nuts. Do a thing. So we'll be back next week, hopefully with Ari in tow, assuming he hasn't been completely buried in paperwork.
Consumed by the bureaucracy monster.
That
well,
is,
it's supposedly his deadline that he has been given is in a matter of hours, like less than 2 days. So
yeah,
he should be done by next week, unless something else goes wrong.
The way he goes, I give it even odds.
Yeah, it really could go either.
Yeah. All right, so thank you very much for listening, everyone. We shall see you next time.